Chapter 1108, Jian Chen's worries. Not only did the large-scale invasion of the 100 races shake up the Tianyuan continent, even the Beast God continent was thrown astir. The invasions caused a huge disturbance. In the center of the Beast God continent, a radius of several hundred kilometers had disappeared into a huge ditch with the Beast God Hall as its center. The lapping of waves could vaguely be heard from the pitch-black ditch as the Beast God Hall levitated at the center. It used to be an ancient forest filled with great trees, but it had been reduced to a huge ditch during the battle between the Beast God Hall and the experts of the 100 races. The ground further away had sunk down. The burly Kaiser stood in a quiet hall on the 98th floor with a sunken expression. He gazed sharply into the distance as he burned with fury. That was the direction of the wasteland continent inhabited by the 100 races. 100 races, you're getting bolder and bolder to act so brazenly around my Beast God Hall. If I weren't injured by origin energy and had recovered, just I myself would have been enough to flatten you, Kaiser growled as a heavy killing intent filled his voice. All the experts of the 100 races had returned to the wasteland continent. The central war god hall levitated in the air and radiated with an earth-shaking presence. It had already entered battle mode, ready to defend against the large-scale invasions from the Tianyuan continent and the Beast God continent. The Divine Hall was the pillar of support of the 100 races as well as their treasure. It was an amalgamation of attack and defense, and its defense was shocking. It was passed down from ancient times and was far more powerful than any forbidden artifact. At the same time, all the experts returned to their own clans. All of their treasures were ready to be used. The dwarves had drawn their heaven's guard while the elves had awakened their elven god tree. All the various races were fully prepared to repel the attacks from the Beast God continent and Tianyuan continent. The experts of the 100 races had already made the appropriate preparations before the arrival of the experts from the two continents. Although they were not as strong as any two of them, they still possessed their heritage. They did not fear an invasion from the two continents in this current age where almost all saint emperors had vanished. The Heaven's Guard of the dwarves had been renowned in the ancient times. Back then, a single dwarven saint king resisted the encirclement of multiple people just as strong as him with the shield. Even saint emperors would struggle to break through such an encirclement. The elven god tree was extremely wondrous as well. It had already gained intelligence, having survived since ancient times. Its vast vitality had turned a portion of the wastelands into an oasis. It had always been the symbol of the elves, and its branches were supple enough to trap saint emperors even though it had no offensive capabilities. Its vitality was unending as well. It could not be killed off nor cut down. Even when smashed into pieces, it could regrow in an instant. The only thing was that it could not leave where it had been rooted. The other races also had their corresponding heritages and none of them could be underestimated. At the same time, the War God Hall used everything it had to scour the entire continent for the new War God. What they did not know was that the new War God had not been born on the Wasteland continent but the Tianyuan continent. Only the first War God had been born on the Wasteland continent, which led to misunderstandings about where the new War God would be born. They assumed the new War God would be born on the Wasteland continent. The Dragon Island was completely cut off from the world, so the matters of the Tianyuan continent had not reached there. Jian Chen and He Yu remained by Tai Ta's side, watching over him and preventing any living corpses from interfering. Tai Ta bathed in a dense, golden light. He was like the sun in the sky, shining brightly. He dyed the entire place with a golden light as his vast battle intent filled the entire island. It possessed a supreme weight, as if it could crush the surrounding space. Some of the Saint Ruler living corpses were even pressed down to the ground by the power of the battle intent. Sounds that sounded like the roars of wild beasts rang out in the surroundings. Tai Ta's breakthroughs had caused too great of a disturbance, alarming all the living corpses on the island. Large groups of Saint King corpses rapidly flew over from all directions. They could endure the pressure of Tai Ta's battle intent. Swish! Swish! He Yu and Jian Che turned into a blur as they disappeared. They charged toward the Saint King corpses to engage in a slaughter, preventing them from approaching Tai Ta. He Yu was a mutated divine alligator. He was far more powerful than ordinary magical beasts and could rival beasts of antiquity. He was also at the great perfection of Saint King, so the strength he possessed was terrifying. His palms struck out time and time again, crushing a Saint King corpse wherever they landed. Chen did not use the Emperor armament. Chaotic force rampaged within him as he used the advantage of the chaotic body as much as he could. He kicked and punched, launching all the living corpses beyond the 10-meter threshold. He used the powerful formations in the sky to slaughter the corpses, dealing with them in an effortless fashion. The deviant recovery of the living corpses would be enough to pain Chen otherwise. Tai Ta seemed to have become a miniature sun as his presence continuously climbed. He had already reached the third heavenly layer of Saint King. He had benefited substantially from the war god's blood, still in the process of absorbing it even now. On another side, Chen and Yu had already finished dealing with the wave of Saint King living corpses. They returned to where they were. This was already the fourth wave. Suddenly, Tai Ta's presence underwent another change. It actually strengthened several times over in that moment while his battle intent became even denser. The fourth heavenly layer of Saint King. He's actually reached the fourth heavenly layer. Chen stood there and felt turbulent. He had watched Tai Ta make his way from the fifth heavenly layer of Saint Ruler to the fourth heavenly layer of Saint King. This increase was far beyond what his chaotic body could offer by moving from one layer to the next. Yu also became stunned as he stood to one side. He thought about all his cultivation in the past. He had spent countless hours to make each breakthrough, yet Tai Ta had matched over a millennium of his cultivation in such a short amount of time. He found it to be dreamlike. A great roar reverberated from the depths of the island, surprising Chen and Yu. They both turned to look and saw a huge gate levitating high up in the sky, unaffected by the 10-meter threshold of the island. Several dragon heads that were 5 or 6 meters across hurried out of it, looking in the direction of Tai Ta. Their faces were filled with deep worry as well as some fear. Class 9 dragon souls. Chen was shocked. They were existences equal to Saint Emperors. Coupled with the fact that dragons were the kings of magical beasts, their battle prowess was immense, much more powerful than human Saint Emperors of the same level. Fortunately, they did not charge over. They only glanced in Tai Ta's direction before hurriedly pulling their heads back. They closed the gate to the necropolis, all extremely frightened. Chen let out a breath of relief. He knew that the dragon souls were figures that came from the same age as Ergen's. Since Ergen's blood was present here, he must have attacked Dragon Island in the past. The Class 9 dragon souls must have suffered by his hands and might have even been slain by Ergen's. As a result, they were extremely sensitive to Tai Ta's presence as the new war god and also felt extremely fearful. Finally, Tai Ta's presence gradually weakened. The blinding light around him also quickly subsided before completely disappearing. Tai Ta slowly opened his eyes, but he was not joyful because of his increase in strength. He was filled with sorrow and pain as 2 streaks of tears ran down his cheeks. The droplet of blood contained some of Ergen's memories. He learned about some of Ergen's past. They were both warring gods, so Ergen's had become a father figure in Tai Ta's eyes. He felt extremely sorrowful and was pained when he learned that Ergen suffered defeat at Dragon Island all those years ago and was slain by the winged tiger god. Chen and Yu made their way over as they observed Tai Ta in interest. All they found was that Tai Ta was rather similar compared to before, except that the glow of his skin had become even more metallic. It was glossy, as if it was made from metal, while the imprint between Tai Ta's eyebrows had become clearer as well. However, the indent of the imprint gave people a feeling that it was incomplete, as if it lacked something. Tai Ta, how are you? Are you all right? Chen asked out of concern as he stared at Tai Ta's teary face. Tai Ta dried his tears and quickly dismissed his feelings. He said, I'm fine. I just felt that Uncle Ergen's life was just too difficult. He fought for a better world for his citizens, but he died in battle in the end. Tai Ta's voice was filled with deep grief. Chen gently sighed. He had no idea how to comfort Tai Ta right now. The matter was interconnected far too much. Not only did it involve the enmity between the 100 races and the magical beasts, it included the disagreements between the winged tiger god and the war god, yet in the present day, both of them had become his friends. He had no idea what to do. He worried the most over the possibility that all this enmity from the previous generation would be resolved by this current generation. Uncle Ergens fought for his clansmen, but his wish did not come true in the end. His final wish was for his citizens to find a good place to live. "I will definitely completely Uncle's final wish," said Tai Ta. His eyes became determined. This was an oath he would never give up until he had achieved it. Chen became even more worried with the oath Tai Ta made. His joy for Tai Ta's increase in strength had completely disappeared, as well as he asked himself inside, if the matter really does develop to the point where Tai Ta and Xiao Bai end up fighting, what should I do? Tai Ta wanted to find a better place for his citizens, to complete Ergens' final wish. This meant that he would definitely go to war like Ergens and capture land. On the other hand, the white tiger was the god of the magical beasts. Although the Saint Emperors of the Beast God continent had targeted it before, Chen knew that the white tiger would become the new beast god sooner or later. In the future, Tai Ta might end up conflicting with the white tiger, or even pulling the Tian Yuan continent in as enemies. Sigh, I never thought that the droplet of blood would contain a part of Ergens' memories as well. Was it the right decision to bring Tai Ta here? Chen asked himself inside. He suddenly felt some regret at that moment. He Yu remained calm and appeared to be indifferent. Although he was a magical beast, he had no attachments to the Beast God continent. He did not care about what would happen between the Beast God continent and 100 races at all. His greatest wish was to go with Rui Jin to find his vanished clansmen. Chapter 1109. The Saint's Fruit. Chen sucked in a deep breath and no longer bothered with the troublesome problem. He only hoped that he had the power to stop the two of them if a situation like that really developed. He did not ask Tai Ta about the future. The world was in constant motion, so no one could decide what they would do in the future. Matters promised today might end up suddenly changing the next day. Chen stood on a low mountain peak as he stared in the direction of the Lunastran pit for a while. He sighed, "Let's return." Due to Tai Ta's personality, he failed to notice the sliver of worry present on Chen's face. He talked and laughed excitedly with Chen as they made their way out. "Chen, my strength has increased a lot this time. Do you think I still need to be locked up in Mercenary City by Senior Tian Jian? Chen, how powerful are the 10 protector clans? Is my current strength enough to match up against them? Once we get back, I'll visit home first. I haven't returned in many years. I miss my family." Tai Ta completely forgot about the sorrow and pain he felt for Ergens' death. It quickly dulled. He returned to how he usually behaved. Chen, Tai Ta, and He Yu did not stick around Dragon Island. They appeared outside the independent space again. Chen. A cold but feminine voice suddenly rang out. The sea goddess' illusionary body suddenly appeared in empty space. Her face was hazy, as if it was covered by mist. It was impossible to see her appearance. "I greet your majesty." Chen immediately clasped his hands and bowed after being slightly surprised. "I greet Senior." He Yu and Tai Ta dared not tarry behind. They also courteously bowed to the sea goddess. The sea goddess did not even glance at He Yu. Her gaze stopped on Tai Ta for a moment before returning to Chen once more. She said, "The Saint's Fruit of Death Nest is about to appear once more. This fruit is something that gathers the fortunes of the world and can assist people in reaching Saint Emperor. It grows over the course of 10,000 years, blooms over the course of 10,000 years, bears fruit over the course of 10,000 years, and ripens over the course of another 10,000 years. In total, 40,000 years gives birth to a single fruit, and it only exists for 3 months once matured. It will disappear after 3 months are up. This fruit is about to mature, so you can't miss it." "What? The Saint's Fruit can allow people to reach Saint Emperor? There's actually such a wondrous piece of fruit in the world." All three of them became astounded as disbelief flooded their faces. They would never have believed such a thing existed if it were not for the sea goddess. The usefulness of the fruit sounded a little too exaggerated since it could allow people to reach Saint Emperor. Even 100,000-year-old heavenly resources did not possess such great effects. The existence of the saint's fruit is an absolute secret on the Tianyuan continent. Only a limited number of ancient clans know about it, but all major organizations will focus on it whenever it appears. There have been saint emperors who have once taken part in the fight to obtain it, the sea goddess explained. Chen immediately became stern. Your Majesty, may I ask where exactly in Death Nest the fruit grows? Do you know the exact location? It's in the very depths of Death Nest. It's extremely dangerous there, so be very careful when you go. Even saint emperors can die there, replied the sea goddess. What? Even saint emperors can die? Both Chen and Yu became stunned. They struggled to believe that. Death Nest is a grave from ancient battlefields. During ancient times, many human, magical beast, and 100 races experts died there. The ground had once been dyed red with blood while corpses formed whole mountains. The amount of resentment that's piled up there is just shocking, and there's no lack of saint emperors who have fallen in the ancient battlefield. Afterward, Mo Tianyun arrived there and personally cast down an extremely powerful formation to envelope the land. He then moved all the corpses into there through his great abilities. He turned the land into a graveyard. During that age, saint emperors appeared more often than saint kings nowadays. Countless saint emperors of all three races had fallen while saint kings and saint rulers reached to an even higher level. With the burial of so many experts, the region slowly underwent some gradual changes, giving birth to many vengeful spirits and death curses, before becoming the most dangerous region of the Tianyuan continent, becoming Death Nest. The sea goddess' voice was filled with melancholy. All of it had happened just far too long ago. In other words, the formation of Death Nest was all because of Senior Mo Tianyun? Chen felt oddly shocked inside. He felt admiration for Mo Tianyun's abilities once more. Death Nest was the most dangerous place on the Tianyuan continent. He had never thought that it had personally been constructed by Mo Tianyun. The sea goddess slowly nodded. Mo Tianyun's action of constructing the graveyard was rather odd. Although there were mountainous piles of corpses, he had no need to deal with all of them in such a fashion. He had poured quite a lot of effort into the land where Death Nest sits, and he even used a droplet of his essence blood to irrigate the land. He must have had other intentions. Was it really to plant the saint's fruit that can allow people to reach Saint Emperor? The sea goddess' voice was filled with some confusion as well. She was very puzzled by Mo Tianyun's actions. Chen and Yu both realized something from what the sea goddess had said. They shuddered and a sliver of surprise appeared in their eyes. Yu cried out, "Does that mean the saint's fruit in Death Nest has to do with the experts who had fallen in ancient times? Have they formed the saint's fruit?" "Correct. It is a special plant formed from the blood and essence of the corpses. The reason why it's known as the saint's fruit is because it can allow people to reach Saint Emperor. Otherwise, it would have been called the demon's fruit," said the sea goddess. Chen was shocked. He had never thought that the saint's fruit would have origins like this. It was just unbelievable. The saint's fruit contains the essence of those saint emperors from the ancient times as well as the truths of the world from a level of saint emperor. Saint rulers cannot digest it, so only saint kings can ingest the fruit. Over 100,000 years ago, a human saint emperor obtained the fruit and fed it to his son who had just reached saint king. In the end, the son reached saint emperor within 100 years. However, most of the fruit has been consumed by those who have reached the great perfection of Saint King many years ago and who have struggled to reach Saint Emperor. In the end, all of them reached Saint Emperor except for one failure, and they all managed to break through 3 to 5 smaller realms of cultivation, reaching the 3rd to the 5th heavenly layer of Saint Emperor, explained the sea goddess. She had witnessed the birth of over 20 saints' fruit as they would appear once every 40,000 years. She had an even better understanding regarding the fruit than the ancient protector clans. There are countless vengeful spirits in Death Nest. All of them are people of the 3 races that fell in battle. Fortunately, they've been trapped by Mo Tianyun's great formation, or the entire world would be in danger if they break out, except for Mercenary City and the Sea Realm I watch over. Death Nest is divided into 3 zones. The first zone only has Saint Ruler Vengeful Spirits, while the second zone has Saint Ruler and Saint King Vengeful Spirits. They shouldn't be too much of a threat. The true danger lies in the third zone, where Saint King and Saint Emperor Vengeful Spirits exist. There is quite a lot of them, and once trapped, even Saint Emperors face the possibility of dying. There is also a powerful existence in the depths of the third zone. However, it is dormant most of the time and rarely awakens. You have to be careful and never disturb it. The Saint's Fruit grows in the third zone. I've said everything I need to say. Whether you go to Death Nest or not is up to you. The sea goddess figure slowly faded away. He came and left with no signs, such that no one could track her. Jian, Chen and He Yu did not notice that the sea goddess had already left. They only thought about what the sea goddess had said at the end. An unbelievable existence was hidden in the depths of the third zone. Is it a peak, Saint Emperor? Jian Chen pondered with a hoarse voice. He felt rather cold inside. He understood just how powerful peak Saint Emperors were inside. Fairy Hao Yu was a very good example. She could trap a group of Saint Kings with a single formation where even He Yu could not break free. The sea goddess herself is an expert of the origin realm. Even she is described as a powerful existence, then this vengeful spirit must be a big deal. It must have been a peak Saint Emperor before it passed away, He Yu said with a deep voice. He was stern. The difference of strength between Saint Emperors was vast, like the difference between the first heavenly layer and great perfection of Saint King. Jian Chen, are you going to Death Nest? He Yu turned to Jian Chen after a period of silence. Jian Chen silently lowered his head as he thought about Grand Elder Tian Jian. Tian Jian had once helped him several times, showing great kindness to him. Now that he was running out of time, it was extremely difficult for him to reach Saint Emperor just by himself in this age. I'm going. I have to go. Jian Chen's gaze became determined at that moment. He would not exist if it were not for Tian Jian's assistance. I've been able to make my way up all because of Senior Tian Jian's secret and selfless help. Yet, I've never done a single thing for him. If I can help him this time, is it really such a big deal that I risk my life? Jian Chen clenched his fist and became determined. I'll come with you. I'd like to see this death nest filled with vengeful spirits. Hee, I've lived for quite some years, but I've never seen something like it before, laughed He Yu. Afterward, Jian Chen entered the artifact space and found Rui Jin and Hong Lian. He told them everything the sea goddess had said, without hiding any information. I never thought that there would actually be such a divine item like the saint's fruit that can take from the fortunes of nature. Mo Tianyun really is skillful. Rui Jin and Hong Lian became astounded as well once they learned about the saint's fruit. Disbelief flooded their faces. Chapter 11:10, Return to the Turtle Clan. Do you plan on taking the saint's fruit? Hong Lian stared at Jian Chen as she asked with her pleasant voice. Yes. I have to try to get my hands on the saint's fruit. I have no idea if I will come back alive, so before I do go, I will leave behind the white tiger. I'll trouble you two to look after the white tiger in the future, Jian Chen seriously replied. He had always thought that the 3 of them stuck by his side to protect the young winged tiger god. We'll go with you since you want to go to Death's Nest. We all have origin energy armor and weapons, so even Saint Emperors can't do anything to us. Your chances of obtaining the fruit will increase by a lot with us by your side, said Rui Jin. The vengeful spirits should be of supreme yin in nature while my flames are supreme yang. They just happen to suppress these vengeful spirits. As long as the powerful existence mentioned by the sea goddess doesn't appear, I believe these spirits can't pose much of a threat to us. Hong Lian also expressed her thoughts. I thank the seniors for their assistance. Jian Chen immediately became overjoyed when he found out that Rui Jin and the other 2 were willing to go with him to Death's Nest. Without a single doubt, the whole matter would become much easier with the assistance from 3 experts who were on par with Saint Emperors. Jian Chen left the artifact space. Hong Lian gently sighed after he had disappeared. Jian Chen's life is even more important than our own. I'd rather be injured than see him die. Jian also gently sighed with that. His face became filled with melancholy as he said, I have no relatives, friends, or anyone I know in this outside world. Even my homeland has become a grave where living corpses roam. All my clansmen have disappeared without a trace. Jian Chen is our only hope to find our clansman, so before he becomes powerful enough, we can't let anything happen to him. Otherwise, we'll never be able to return to our clans. Jian, do you really believe that Jian Chen will bring us to find our lost clansman? Our people suddenly disappeared with the winged tiger god. They might not be in this world anymore. Does Jian Chen really have that ability? Hong Lian stared deeply at Jian. Even if we don't believe Jian Chen has the capability, we should still believe the winged tiger god. Since the winged tiger god has said that Jian Chen can lead us back to our clansmen, he must have his reasons. It's not like we have any other ideas outside of this. This is our only hope, said Jian. Before I go to Death's Nest, I need to visit the Sea Realm. Tai Ta, it's best if you stay in Mercenary City during this next period of time. Your characteristics are just too eye-catching. I'm afraid that a few people knowledgeable in the matters of ancient times will recognize you, Jian Chen said to Tai Ta. He worried for him from the bottom of his heart. Tai Ta shook his head and said, Jian Chen, a lot of powerful mysteries of war have appeared in my head. I feel like they are even more powerful than Saint-Tier battle skills, and I have also obtained some powerful mysteries of war comprehended by Uncle Ergens as well as his experience. I no longer fear the Protector clans. Though, I do want to do to Death's Nest with you. I want to venture the world with you. Tai Ta was serious, his eyes were filled with a yearning. To travel the world with Jian Chen, that was the wish he wanted the most. He was not strong enough and would only drag Jian Chen down before, but now he possessed the strength, so he obviously would not forego the chance. Jian Chen thought about it. He knew that Tai Ta's current prowess in battle was probably no weaker than his own, and he also considered how Tai Ta had experienced too little due to his extreme growth. As a result, he agreed, all right then. Once I return from the Sea Realm, I'll bring you with me to Death's Nest. Tai Ta became excited. He foolishly smiled, then I'll go home first. Jian Chen, remember to call me when you go to Death's Nest. We're very far away from Tian Yuan continent. I better ask Senior He Yu to construct a space gate for you, said Jian Chen. No need, I can return by myself, Tai Ta shrugged. He thanked He Yu for his help before yelling, mysteries of war, void-shattering golden body. Tai Ta began to shine with a blinding golden light. He turned into a streak of golden light as he charged forward with lightning speed. Several hundred meters later, the space up ahead cracked open and a black hole appeared. Tai Ta charged through the hole and disappeared, still coated in a dense layer of golden light. What? He actually smashed through space with his body. He's moving through another region of space. He Yu became shocked as he uncontrollably spoke his thoughts. Jian Chen also became tongue-tied, unable to return to his senses even after a very long time. Tai Ta walked a different path of cultivation. He had no need to comprehend the mysteries of the world. He could not rip open space gates, but he had other methods that achieved the same results as space gates. Space gates need to be constructed in stable space, and they can't sustain any attacks after forming, or they'll collapse. Tai Ta's ability doesn't seem to have that limitation. He seems to be able to leave at will even when experts fight. This is much more powerful than space gates, He Yu sighed in amazement. The abilities of the warring gods are actually so terrifying. Tai Ta's only at the 4th heavenly layer, yet he does not fear the Protector clans anymore, yet in ancient times, Ergens had surpassed Saint Emperor, but he was still slain by the winged tiger god. The winged tiger god really is unimaginably powerful, Jian Chen emotionally sighed inside. Afterward, Jian Chen made his way to the Sea Realm. Although the barrier of the Sea Realm prevented the entry of foreign Saint Kings, it has personally been cast down by the Sea Goddess. As a result, Jian Chen did not suffer this limitation through his connection with the Sea Goddess. He was able to pass through without any obstructions. Jian Chen's main purpose of going to the sea realm was for the divine water of the world. He had learned from the sword spirits that the water could cure Hong Lian of her backlash from the rebirth of fire. Hong Lian was slain several times by Kaiser during the battle against the two Saint Emperors of the Beast God continent and the Path Lord of Carnal Desires that had occurred above Cross Mountains. She had revived herself through the rebirth of fire, but the consequences were that her strength would drop, and she ended up at the fifth heavenly layer. Hong Lian was the arch-nemesis of the vengeful spirits within Death's Nest, so it was extremely possible that she would be the most useful out of the three. As a result, Jian Chen wanted to retrieve the water so that Hong Lian could recover her strength and, hence, increase their chances of success. After all, he would not be facing against Saint Kings this time, but a group of Saint Emperor vengeful spirits that had been slain during an ancient war. Even if they no longer possessed their former strength, Jian Chen still felt pressured by their numbers. A figure descended from the sky in a desolate mountain range within the sea realm. He stood on the highest peak as he observed his surroundings. With a flip of his hand, Jian Chen pulled out a map of the sea realm from his space ring. He used the surrounding geographical features to determine his location. He was currently in the territory of the Sea Goddess Hall, only several hundred kilometers away from the Turtle Clan. Swish! Jian Chen left as a blur. He hurried along with the illusory flash, swiftly moving to the Turtle Clan. We greet the ruler. As soon as Jian Chen walked through the main entrance of the clan, all the guards at the front knelt down on one knee in unison. They simultaneously greeted him. Their voices were filled with respect that originated from the bottom of their hearts. Although Jian Chen had disappeared for many years, his prestige within the Turtle Clan was still extremely great. Almost everyone within the clan recognized him. The return of the ruler after so many years immediately caused quite a large disturbance in the Turtle Clan. All the elders gathered in the conference hall regardless of how busy they were. Even a few elders in seclusion had come out. Just as Jian Chen had returned to the Turtle Clan, a graying old man stood outside a hall within the central divine hall of the Sea Goddess Hall. He said, "Guest elder, the ruler of the Turtle Clan has returned." A female in azure clothes levitated 2 meters above the ground in the hall. She was extremely pretty and alluring, where her hair ran down her shoulders naturally, like a waterfall. It covered a portion of her face. Suddenly, the woman snapped open her eyes. An almost visible light shot from her eyes, disappearing with a flash. Her gaze was extremely bright, as if it contained stars that glimmered inside. Vaguely, it possessed an odd allure, able to enchant people. "I understand. You can leave," Qing Yishuan commanded Hin. Her voice was cold and possessed no emotions at all. "Yes, esteemed guest elder." An old voice rang out from outside and the old man quietly left. Soon afterward, an azure figure left the central divine hall. It moved extremely quickly, disappearing into the distance in the blink of an eye. Jian Chen sat casually on the throne in the center of the hall. The various elders of the Turtle Clan formed 2 rows below him and reported on the recent developments of the Turtle Clan one by one. "Ruler, ever since we received Elder Lan Jing, Xian Pian, and Mocha's assistance, it has been smooth sailing in our attempts to retrieve our past crystal mines. We've recovered most of them while the remaining ones are large-scale mines of excellent quality. They produce an extremely great amount of grand quality crystal coins, and they are in the possession of a few large clans. These clans are extremely powerful. Not only do they have several 15th star Sea Soul warriors, they even have 16th star experts. One of the clan's ancestors is even closing in on the peak of the 16th star. He's an elder of the Sea Goddess Hall, and there's even rumors that he will become a hall elder in the future. During the time that you were gone, we discussed with them several times for them to return to the mines that belong to us. However, we were declined every time, and a few small-scale conflicts even broke out. Elder Lan Jing, Xian Pian, and Mochas were injured. The elders of the Turtle Clan had reported the truth. Lan Jing, Xian Pian, and Mochas were the 3 disciplinary elders of the Heaven Spirit Hall that had chased down Jian Chen years ago. They were subdued by Jian Chen, and they now worked for Jian Chen. Which clan does that person who is close to becoming a hall elder belong to? Chen asked. He paid extremely great attention to that expert. Only Saint Kings at great perfection could take up the role of hall elders, so it meant that he was approaching great perfection soon. He's the ancestor of the Tao family. An elder replied. Chapter 11:11, The Divine Realm, the Tao Family, Chen murmured under his breath. A gleam of light flashed through his eyes. The Tao family was a large clan that wielded absolute power. They were very powerful. Suddenly, Chen seemed to sense something. He looked to the outside of the hall and a sliver of surprise flashed through his eyes. One of the guards at the main entrance charged into the hall as if his bottom was on fire. He fell to his knees and hurriedly yelled, "Ruler, there's a woman who claims to be a guest elder of the Sea Goddess Hall and has charged in. We cannot stop her no matter how we try." As soon as he finished speaking, a hubbub rang out from outside. An azure-clothed female boldly stepped into the hall as several guards encircled her. A powerful presence radiated from her, preventing the surrounding guards from getting any closer to her. "How dare you act wildly in our turtle clan?" Several elders became enraged within the hall. They immediately stood up and went to stop the lady who had come in. The current turtle clan was no longer the same as the past. Not only did they have the protection of a ruler, they also had 3 16th star experts, which lead to the Saint Ruler elders becoming much braver. "It's not a problem. Let her in." Chen raised his hand to calmly stop the angered elders. The elders immediately stopped and returned to their seats now that their ruler had spoken. Qin Yishuan possessed an imposing presence as she barged into the turtle clan all by herself. She made her way to the meeting hall of the clan, ignoring all the elders. She stared at Chen, who sat at the very top, and coldly said, "You've finally decided to appear after vanishing for so long." Chen smiled faintly. He looked back at Qin Yishuan and said, "It's been a few years since I've last seen you, yet you still look the same, if not better. You've progressed to the 6th heavenly layer as well. Congratulations." Qin Yishuan remained neutral. Chen, I haven't come to find you to talk about the old days. I already know that your turtle clan is falling out with the Tao family. I've come this time because I want to work with your turtle clan. I am willing to assist your clan with taking back those old mines. All the elders' expressions drastically changed when they heard her offer. They immediately became excited. It would become much easier to recover crystal mines in the future if another 16th star expert joined them. Chen did not waver at all. He asked, "Qin Yishuan, I am very curious to know exactly what the Tao family owns that attracts you so dearly. You've actually come to find me time and time again, and you're even willing to offend many great clans this time to deal with the Tao family." Qin Yishuan slightly hesitated. Afterward, she extended a finger and a transparent barrier immediately expanded, enveloping Chen and her. The barrier could cut off sound. Obviously, Qin Yishuan did not want others to hear what she was going to say. "There's no problem with me telling you if you're so curious. The Tao family is in possession of a Saint-tier battle skill for humans. It was obtained by one of their ancestors on an island outside. If we can get this Saint-tier battle skill, we can comprehend it together." Qin Yishuan hid nothing and told the truth. A Saint-tier battle skill. Chen's interest was immediately piqued. Saint-tier battle skills were the exact objects he needed. If the flame mercenaries wanted to become truly powerful, they needed to have Saint-tier battle skills. "I heard that the Tao family is watched over by a powerful ancestor who's almost reached the great perfection of Saint King. If we work together, we still won't be his opponent even with all the experts of the Turtle Clan," Chen said again. "You're talking about Tao Jingtian. His strength isn't as exaggerated as you have heard. He's only at the 8th heavenly layer right now. You have the Octaterra Divine Hall, so he can't threaten you. All you need to do is keep him busy," said Qin Yishuan. Chen paused for a while before making up his mind. "I didn't want to take the Tao family on as enemies originally, but they're in possession of an excellent mine that once belonged to my turtle clan. We will end up clashing with the Tao family sooner or later, but now's not the time. Qi Nishuan, if you want to get a share of the Tao family's treasures, then stay in the Turtle Clan. Go with Tai Do and the others to defeat the relatively weaker clans who still have not returned our mines. Qi Nishuan hesitated slightly before saying, all right, I agree to your conditions. However, I hope I do not have to wait for too long. Qi Nishuan temporarily stayed at the Turtle Clan, becoming one of their esteemed guests. With the addition of another powerful expert, the whole clan was in jubilation even though it was only temporary. Chen stayed in the Turtle Clan for a day before leaving after handing over some matters. He headed toward one of the danger zones in the Sea Realm. The Divine Realm was an extremely well-known place in the Sea Realm. At the same time, it was also a zone of danger that could make people tremble in fear, because there were rumors that a 17th star emperor had once vanished in there, never appearing again. At the same time, there were many 15th and 16th star experts who had disappeared as well. No one knew the exact geography of the Divine Realm. It was extremely ancient, with a history even lengthier than the Sea Realm. It had already been formed before the Sea Realm even existed. The Divine Realm contained countless rare treasures and heavenly resources. The divine water of the world that was renowned throughout the entire Sea Realm appeared there. It was the only place where this special type of water could form. As a result, even though the Divine Realm was extraordinarily dangerous, it could not stop many adventurers of the Sea Realm from entering. Even though they knew that entering meant death, there were still many people who wanted to try their luck under the mentality that benefits came with risk. 100 kilometers away from the Divine Realm stood a medium-sized city. It was named Divine City because it provided special supplies to adventurers who were about to enter the Divine Realm. At the same time, it was where these adventurers gathered. There were all sorts of existences in Divine City. Not only were there blue-skinned members of the sea race in human form, there were even humans from the Tian Yuan continent and magical beasts from the Beast God continent. All three races were common there, and they rarely looked down upon each other. There were even cases where the three races worked together to form a group of adventurers. Chen entered the city in tight robes, making him seem more experienced. He seemed just like an ordinary person as he mixed into the crowd. Supreme antidotal pills, a crucial need for the Divine Realm. They can detoxify various poisons. 10 high-quality crystal coins for 1. There aren't many left, so come by some fast, selling quaking thunders ranging from the 12th star to the 14th star. They can deal attacks that are equivalent from the 12th star to the 14th star. An absolute must for saving lives. There aren't many left. Various calls rang through the streets. Many different stands had been set up on both sides of the streets to sell items. There was a great variety of items present. Chen stopped before a stand that sold quaking thunders. All he saw were a few fist-sized black orbs on the ground, which pulsed with a powerful water-attributed energy. Chen picked one up to examine, understanding the secrets of it with a single glance. They were made from a special material that could store energy inside, able to deal a violent attack. They possessed the same uses as the 3 stones he had obtained from the president of the Radiant Saint Master Union before. The only difference between the two was quality. The stones could store energy from a Saint King at great perfection, while the quaking thunders before him could only store up to the 3rd heavenly layer of Saint Ruler. Warrior, why don't you buy a few quaking thunders? It's an absolute must whether it's for fighting enemies or saving your life. The owner of the stand began to explain the wonders and great uses of the quaking thunders. May I ask where the materials for making these quaking thunders comes from? Chen asked as he examined the black orbs. It must be your first time in the Divine City to not even know this. The materials come from the Divine Realm. They are obtained by killing the powerful, vicious beasts that inhabit the realm, explained the owner. Chen then asked the prices of the quaking thunders, but they were outrageous. The quaking thunder in his hand, the one that could only deal the strike of a 3rd heavenly layer Saint Ruler, actually cost 200,000 grand quality crystal coins. Chen continued to stroll down the streets at ease. There were a lot of stands selling various items that even he had no idea what they were called or how they could be used. However, they were all extremely unique. He hoped to find materials for the azulate swords here. Chen ended up with disappointment in the end. He had virtually went everywhere, but he found nothing. He did come across quite a few quaking thunders for sale, however. Chen arrived in the center of the city and entered a large tavern. He learned about the divine realm from some adventurers who frequently ventured into it. The Turtle clan was not in possession of many records in regards to the divine realm. They had suffered a few disasters in the past, losing many of their ancient records. This was why the amount of information they possessed was pitiful. I heard the Blue Sky adventurers entered the dangerous depths of the divine realm and returned successfully. All they lost were a few 12th-star warriors. The captain of the Blue Sky adventurers is a 13th-star expert. He's actually able to bring his members into the depths where even 15th-star experts would die and return safely as well. It's a miracle. I've also heard that the group saw some divine water of the world from afar, but they were in no shape to take the extra step. As a result, they could only return helplessly. What a pity. Divine water of the world is extremely rare in the divine realm. Even 16th star experts won't necessarily come across it when they enter the depths. The Blue Sky adventurers are just too lucky. The Blue Sky adventurers has now become an unapproachable existence in the city. I heard that many powerful adventurers want to pull the group to their side, so they can learn where the water is located. I heard that the Blue Sky adventurers has already recruited 2 13th star experts and are ready to enter the depths once more. They want to retrieve the water. The adventurers in the tavern discussed the recent news with one another, and all of them talked about the Blue Sky adventurers. At this moment, a group of people in tight robes entered the tavern. The discussions immediately quietened down with their arrival. Look, they're the Blue Sky adventurers. The Blue Sky adventurers have actually appeared here. Do they really plan on entering the depths again? The people in the tavern discussed their arrival under their breaths. Chapter 11-12. The Blue Sky adventurers. Jian heard their muffled discussions loud and clear since he sat nearby. He looked up at the group of people who had entered the tavern. There were 10 people in total, and they all wore tight robes, appearing extremely experienced. The person at the very front was a large man with big eyes and thick eyebrows as well as a full beard. 2 old men with peppered hair followed behind him. They were old, but their eyes shined with vigor. All 3 of them were saint rulers, 13th star experts in the sea realm. The 7 people that followed behind them were all 12th star experts, at the 6th cycle of Heaven Saint Master. The one at the very front is the captain of the Blue Sky adventurers. They only have 9 people in their group, yet 2 unknown old men have appeared. Are the rumors true? Has the Blue Sky adventurers really recruited 2 13th star experts and are preparing to enter the depths of the divine realm again? Someone wondered below their breath. The Blue Sky adventurers are actually all humans. Only one of the old men is a magical beast, Chen mumbled inside. He could see through the group with a single glance. Another group of people walked in from outside. They all wore blue armor and all seemed rather impressive. They bore a shiny, purple badge on their chests, and a single word had been sewn onto it in the language of the sea race, Lanshan. It's actually the people from the Lanshan clan. The Lanshan clan is one of the 3 great clans within the city. Have they come here because of the divine water of the world? The person at the front is the first young master, Lan Mo. His constitution was improved by heavenly resources when he was young, so his talent is extremely outstanding. He's reached the 13th star in just over 300 years. The group of people immediately made their way to the Blue Sky adventurers. The first young master, Lan Mo, stared haughtily at the captain and said, "Zhou Chuyun, our Lanshan clan wants to enter the depths of the divine realm this time. You should work with us. We can enter the divine realm together, and you can take 40% of everything we obtain. The rest will belong to us." The young master of the Lanshan clan is going too far. He's intentionally trying to pull the Blue Sky adventurers to his side so that they could lead them to where the divine water of the world is, but they're only going to give up 40%. This is unreasonable. Too bad. Who let the Lanshan clan become too powerful? They control a whole third of the city, and the patriarch of their clan is a 14th star expert. There's not a lot of people in the city who are willing to offend them. It's rumored that the clan also has an ancestor who is over 4,000 years old. He's a 15th star expert and has already traveled outside for several decades. I wonder if that's true or not. A few people softly gossiped in the tavern. Some of them were dissatisfied with what the first young master of the Lanshan clan wanted to do, while others sighed over the power of the Lanshan clan. Anger appeared in the captain's eyes, but he hid it very quickly. He stood up and clasped his hands to Lan Mo. He said, "It is a blessing for my blue sky adventurers that young Master Lan Mo has set his eyes on us. However, we have always moved independently, so I can only appreciate your kindness and turn down your offer. Zhou Chuyun, I have never invited a group of adventurers before. You are the first, but I never thought you'd actually turn down my kindness. Are you looking down on me?" Lan Mo's voice became icy. Zhou Chuyun remained smiling. "Young Master Lan Mo has misunderstood. I have no intentions of looking down on you. We are just used to moving independently." An armored guard walked up from behind Lan Mo. He said sharply to Zhou Chuyun, "It's a blessing for you that young Master Lan Mo has invited you, so don't make the wrong choice. You must join us, or you won't be able to leave this tavern today." The atmosphere of the tavern immediately became nervous because of what the guard said. The people there stopped what they were doing and turned to Lan Mo and the Blue Sky Adventurers. The members of the Blue Sky Adventurers all paled. Only the two old men remained composed, as if nothing had happened at all. Zhou Chuyun's face also sank. Since the situation had already developed to such a point, he would only appear docile if he continued to let them get their way. He coldly said, "Young Master Lan Mo, my group may be far weaker than your clan, but we do not fear you. If you want to do things forcefully, we can try it out and see just who won't be leaving the tavern today." The young master coldly sneered as he gazed past the two old men. He said, "Zhou Chuyun, do you really think that you can go up against my clan now that you've recruited two 13th star experts? You overestimate yourself. At the very least, your clan cannot do anything to us before your ancestor returns. Though, your ancestor seems to have been gone for several decades already." Zhou Chuyun also became unyielding. He felt no fear. Lan Mo's face sank and killing intent flickered in his eyes. As the first young master of one of the three great clans in the city, his status was extremely great. He had never been treated so rudely by a mere group of adventurers. He did not worry even though they possessed 13th star experts. The young master coldly glanced over Zhou Chuyun and the two old men. Just as he was about to say something, mocking laughter rang in from outside. "I never thought that the renowned young Master Lan Mo would bully a group of adventurers, unbelievable. Though, the Blue Sky Adventurers isn't any small group of adventurers. They're not an existence that you can bully." A white-robed young man who seemed to be in his 20s walked in from outside. He gave Lan Mo a look filled with ridicule as a few middle-aged men followed him. Each and every one of them radiated with a bold presence. "And who did I think it was? So it's the first young master of the Karunk clan, Kuda," Lan Mo sneered. The Karunk clan possessed a similar status in the Divine City as his Lanshan clan. They, too, were one of the three great clans. Kuda paid no attention to Lan Mo. He arrived at Zhou Chuyun's side and clasped his hands. "Captain Zhou Chuyun, my Karunk clan currently is allied with the Xia clan. We are about to venture into the depths of the divine realm again. We sincerely invite Captain Zhou Chuyun to join us. I just knew that your Karunk clan had come with similar intentions as me. Whatever, I'll sit here and watch how you pull the Blue Sky Adventurers to your side. Though, I've heard that the large clans from Diork City have already set off for the divine realm, for the divine water of the world as well," sneered Lan Mo afterward. He looked around the tavern and found that all the tables had been taken. "Young master, allow me to find you a spot." A guard behind young Master Lan Mo stepped forward. He looked around with his sharp gaze, and in the end, his gaze landed on Jian Chen, who sat by himself. Afterward, he walked to the table and loomed over Jian Chen. "Brat, this table is being used by young Master Lan Mo. Leave immediately. Don't waste the young master's time. All the people in the tavern sat in groups, and they were all burly, radiating with powerful presences. Only Jian Chen seemed extremely ordinary, and he seemed relatively slender in the eyes of the guard. As a result, he seemed like the person that was easiest to abuse. Young Master Lan Mo sure is haughty to forcefully take my spot. It's been quite a while since this has last happened. You must be sick of living, Jian Chen said without even raising his head. He dismissed Lan Mo's group of people as if they were nothing. All the people in the tavern became shocked by what Jian Chen had said. Lan Mo was the first young master of the Lanshan clan, one of the 3 great clans in Divine City. He was illustrious in status and also a 13th star expert. There was actually someone who described him as sick of living, to everyone's disbelief. Virtually, at the same time, everyone in the tavern looked at Jian Chen. However, they found him to be extremely ordinary no matter how they observed him. He did not seem like a powerful expert at all. Who is he to speak to young Master Lan Mo like that? He can't be a peak-level expert who keeps a low profile, right? That person's dead for sure for insulting young Master Lan Mo. I'm confident that he won't be able to make his way out of here. Similar thoughts cropped up in many people's heads. Lan Mo's face sank. The guard immediately bellowed out, "How dare you speak to the young master like that? Looks like you're the one sick of living." Blue light flickered in the guard's hand and a trident appeared out of nowhere. He stabbed at Jian Chen mercilessly. Jian Chen sat there calmly without even raising his head. He gently waved his right hand and the metal fork in his hand shot out as a streak of silver. It passed through the spot between the guard's eyebrows with unbelievable speed. Spurt. Blood gushed out from the wound in the guard's forehead. The fork had completely disappeared into his head, and he collapsed without even making a sound. The people in the tavern immediately broke out into an uproar. At that moment, countless people loudly gasped. There were many people who did not think that the young man sitting there was an expert keeping a low profile, an expert who was even brave enough to kill Lan Mo's guards. How did that guard die? I actually didn't see what happened at all. What did he use to kill the guard? Many people mumbled inside. They had not seen when Jian Chen had struck out, nor did they see what Jian Chen had used to kill the guard. Lan Mo obviously became stunned. He had never thought that there would be someone in the city who would be bold enough to kill his guard in front of him. This had never occurred before, but his face became filled with heavy killing intent. He coldly said, "Brat, how dare you kill my guard?" Chapter 11:13, King Ju Ba. So what if he was killed? He completely deserved it for attacking me, Jian Chen said with an extremely indifferent tone. You, Lan Mo pointed at Jian Chen as he became speechless with anger. In so many years, there had never been someone who dared to act so arrogantly in front of him. Even the first young masters of the other 2 clans had never acted so mercilessly. How dare you? A guard bellowed from behind Lan Mo. Another 6 people rushed forward at the same time, attacking Jian Chen with their own weapons. The 6 of them were all at the peak of Heaven Saint Master, much stronger than the guard before. Jian Chen flicked a finger and 6 strands of sword chi shot out from the tip of his finger. Before they could even approach Jian Chen's table, their foreheads exploded, and they collapsed in their own blood. In the blink of an eye, 7 guards had been killed by Jian Chen. This deeply shocked everyone in the tavern. Jian Chen did not worry about celestial decay since that only punished people who conducted massacres, like fiends who killed hundreds of thousands or even millions of people. It was to prevent people at Saint Ruler and beyond from recklessly fighting in packed cities, which would lead to mass destruction. He did not have to worry about just killing a few people. Lan Mo had become stunned by Jian Chen's vicious methods, and even the people of the Karunk clan and the Blue Sky adventurers were the same. This was the first time someone had ever dared to kill Lan Mo's guards in the city right in front of him. Who is that person? Not only does he look down on Lan Mo, he has even killed several guards at the peak of the 12th star with a single flick of his finger. He must be terrifyingly powerful, at least at the 13th star, maybe even the 14th star, could have contemplated inside as he became a little fearful. Ha ha ha, what courage! You have my admiration. May I inquire your name? Zhou Chuyun clasped his hands to Jian Chen from a table to the side. He was extremely bold. Yang Yutian. Jian Chen replied. Esteemed warrior Yang Yutian, you must be interested in visiting the divine realm since you have appeared in this city. I was wondering if you would like to come with us. The Blue Sky adventurers may not be very powerful, but we still have 3 13th star experts. If we face any danger, there'll be a better chance of surviving. Zhou Chuyun intentionally tried to pull Jian Chen to his side. He would be of great help. Lan Mo paled in anger. Zhou Chuyun actually attempted to pull the murderer of his guards without any fear of the consequences. Clearly, he was going up against the Lanshan clan. Jian Chen hesitated. He did not agree immediately and instead asked, Zhou Chuyun, may I ask how much you know about the divine realm? I've been here for more than 200 years. I've entered the divine realm countless times. Although I can't claim I know the place like the back of my hand, I can say there are very few people who can rival my understanding in this city. Zhou Chuyun was rather confident. He was indeed one of the more experienced people in regards to the divine realm. All right, I'll enter the divine realm with you, Jian Chen agreed. He had very shallow understanding of the divine realm and just happened to be in need of an experienced guide. Although he was very confident in his own strength, he needed to be cautious in the divine realm where even saint emperors had died. At the same time, the locations where the divine water of the world would appear was not fixed. It would be very difficult to find and even many 16th star experts could return empty-handed. Zhou Chuyun, let's see what happens next. My Lanshan clan will definitely not let the matter end here, Lan Mo threw out a threat before leaving. He could not tell Jian Chen's exact strength, so he dared not charge up and begin fighting. The people of the Karunk clan also left. Now that the Blue Sky adventurers possessed at least 4 13th star experts, where one of them was extremely likely to be at the 14th star, they were powerful enough that even the Karunk clan needed to treat them with importance. They needed to think through everything before acting. Captain Zhou Chuyun, now that there's an extra person in the group, how will we split the loot? The human old man who had been recruited by Zhou Chuyun asked. He did not view Jian Chen with any importance. Zhou Chuyun chuckled, of course by the old rules. Whoever does more will get more, so anyone has the chance at getting the most. However, you two also understand that the depths of the divine realm are filled with dangers. Even 15th and 16th star experts can die, so it's obviously best if we can grow as powerful as we can. That way, there'll be a much better chance of staying alive. The magical beast who had been recruited earlier glanced at Jian Chen. He said, it really is as easy as crushing a piece of tofu for saint rulers to kill heaven saint masters. It's nothing. Though, the depths of the divine realm aren't as peaceful as the outside world. It's extremely dangerous there. If someone makes a mistake, they can drag everyone down. Brat, keep it down low once you enter the depths. Don't be too self-righteous. Jian Chen's gaze grew cold after hearing what the magical beast had said. He coldly replied, I may not purposefully aim to aggravate people myself, but I don't mind killing again if someone dares to provoke me. With that, the magical beast's face froze. He knew that Jian Chen was talking to him. What he said before was indeed scornful and possessed the intention of provoking him. At this moment, a great energy pulsed. A huge, pitch-black octopus descended from the sky. It slammed into the streets with its 100-meter-long body, causing the whole place to violently shake. Its tentacles were all several 100 meters long, and they danced wildly in the air. It seemed like a demon brandishing its fangs. It's the master of the bottomless abyss, King Ju Ba. He's never appeared in Divine City, right? So why has he suddenly come? King Ju Ba's reached the peak of the 14th star long ago, and he's only a step away from the 15th star. It's said that he has been in seclusion for 100 years ago. He has suddenly appeared now, so has he already broken through and reached the 15th star? It's said that King Ba can only assume a human form after he reaches the 15th star due to natural limitations. He's still in his original form, so he hasn't reached the 15th star by the looks of things. Don't tell me he's come for the divine water of the world as well, that he wants to obtain the water that's appeared in the depths of the divine realm and reach the 15th star using it. The people in the streets immediately broke into a hubbub with the octopus' arrival. Although he was only at the peak of the 14th star, he was one of the few experts in the region. He was extremely well known, and even the patriarchs of the 3 great clans needed to show him some respect. Who is the captain of the Blue Sky Adventurers? Step forward for me, a heavy voice boomed out. It was deafening, and it threw out the city. Ba seemed like he was looking for someone in the city, but he just happened to land outside the tavern Zhou Chuyun was in. All the people of the Blue Sky Adventurers changed in expression. Ba was someone who held supreme power in the region. He was extremely powerful. Barely anyone at the same level at him who could rival him. Only 15th star experts could keep him at bay. Zhou Chuyun reluctantly stepped forward. He said, "I am Zhou Chuyun. May I ask if there is anything you want from me? Take me to the depths of the divine realm to find the divine water of the world you've discovered," Ba's voice boomed out. Afterward, he smashed through the roof of the tavern. A thick black tentacle fell down from the sky, quickly shooting toward Zhou Chuyun. "King Ba, what are you trying to do?" Zhou Chuyun cried out. Saint force surged from his body as he quickly dodged. However, the tentacle was extremely agile. It closely followed Zhou Chuyun before wrapping tightly around his waist. The powerful grip almost snapped Zhou Chuyun's back. Zhou Chuyun roared and forcefully swung at the tentacle with his saint weapon. However, he failed to even scratch the tentacle. "Father!" The only female in the Blue Sky Adventurers involuntarily called out. She was panicking. At the same time, the 2 experts recruited by Zhou Chuyun began to move. A 5-meter-long spear appeared in the hands of the old man from the sea race. He stabbed at the thick tentacle with lightning-like speed. The magical beast's hands instantly turned into a pair of huge, terrifying claws. The sharp claws flickered with a cold light as he viciously swung them at the tentacle. The 2 of them were rather powerful, both at the 4th heavenly layer of Saint Ruler. Their attacks were both at full power, something that could not be underestimated. However, when the spear and claws struck the giant tentacle, they failed to harm it at all. The toughness of Ba's body was just stunning. "Humph, even you 2 shrimps want to harm me? You overestimate yourselves." Ba's voice was filled with scorn. He did not even have the interest in fighting back. He started pulling his tentacle back through the roof with Zhou Chuyun in its grasp. At this moment, Chen suddenly raised his right hand. A thick sword chi of azure and violet shot out, turning into a streak of light. It struck the tentacle at the speed of lightning. Spurt. Blood immediately rained down on the tavern. The tentacle that had not even been scratched by 4th heavenly layer Saint Rulers was easily severed by a single sword chi. Zhou Chuyun broke free from the tentacle's grasp, staring at Chen in disbelief. "Arg!" Ba shrieked in agony. A powerful killing intent began to surge, enveloping the entire city. He furiously said, "I'll make you die right here and now for injuring me." Ba had a total of 18 huge tentacles. The remaining 17 immediately fell from the sky, viciously striking at tavern. Every single tentacle was extremely huge. If they all fell down at the same time, everyone in the tavern would die except for the Saint Rulers. Chen's gaze was cold. Although he was in the tavern, he understood the situation outside extremely well. He shot 17 sword chi with similar hues into the sky, severing the 17 other tentacles. Blood fell down like rain from a thunderstorm, dyeing the entire street red. Ba was in agony after his 18 tentacles had been severed. He was like a limbless person now, suffering miserable consequences. Deep fear pervaded Ba's heart. He knew he had provoked someone he could not afford to provoke. His tentacles had never been chopped off even in battle against people at the same level of cultivation, yet the person just now had severed all of them with ease. This was what terrified him. 15th star, it must be a 15th star expert. What a terrifying sword chi, Zhu Ba shivered inside. He was completely overwhelmed by fear and no longer dared to stay a single moment longer. He immediately shot into the sky, leaving Divine City. All he left behind were 18 huge tentacles, which rested on a large group of stands, and streets filled with blood. Chapter 11-14, Entering the Divine Realm. The entire street fell into a deathly silence. Everyone stared at the Zhu Ba's 18 tentacles with wide eyes as their hearts churned. In the region of the Divine City, Zhu Ba was a well-renowned expert. He was known to be invincible within his own level of cultivation and had never suffered a defeat. Only the ancestors of the three great clans, who had not appeared for over 100 years, could keep him at bay, yet someone had actually easily severed his 18 tentacles in Divine City, such that he could not even fight back. Everyone struggled to believe this outcome. Are my eyes wrong? Someone's actually chased away King Zhu Ba, forcing him to leave behind his 18 tentacles to flee. He didn't even throw down a threat, just who is this expert? Even the renowned King Zhu Ba isn't his opponent. Isn't that person's strength a little too terrifying? The person who severed the 18 tentacles must be a 15th star expert. Only 15th star experts have the power to do something like that in the world. An esteemed 15th star experts has come to our city. The people in the streets only returned to their senses after quite a long time. An uproar immediately erupted and many people became emotional. 15th star experts were not common in the sea realm since most of them would be in seclusion. Rarely would they ever come outside. The tavern remained silent. Everyone stared at Jian Chen, who sat by himself, in fright along with some unconcealable fear and respect. The two experts that had been recruited by the Blue Sky adventurers both became rather pale. When Jian Chen had first joined them, the two of them had spoken in a fashion where they victimized Jian Chen. Now that Jian Chen had displayed his supreme strength, they immediately became utterly frightened. The magical beast, who had gone out of his way to provoke Jian Chen, was affected in particular. He was filled with regret. If he had known that Jian Chen was this strong, he would have never said anything like that before, even if he was 100 times bolder. The magical beast hesitated slightly before reluctantly arriving by Jian Chen's side with unease. He said in a deep voice, "Esteemed Senior Yang Yutian, I'd like to take back what I said before and apologize to you. I hope you can be the bigger man and forgive my rudeness from before." The magical beast was filled with sincerity. His apology came from the bottom of his heart. He understood the consequences of offending a 15th star expert very well. Jian Chen glanced at him. "You sure are smart. I just wanted to deal with you properly before, yet you've come to apologize yourself. Whatever, since you knew what to do, just punish yourself by slapping your face and then leave immediately. I'll let you off with that. I thank Senior Yang Yutian's kindness." The magical beast felt like he had just been granted a pardon. He politely bowed to Jian Chen before decisively slapping his mouth several times. Afterward, he left quickly. Zhou Chuyan walked over and wryly smiled. "I never thought that you'd be a 15th star expert. I was ignorant before, failing to recognize you as someone great. Please forgive me." "Oi, Yang Yutian, are you really at the 15th star? Can you tell me how you cultivated? How many years have you cultivated, and what level have you reached now? I sure do envy you. The 15th star is a Saint King." The only female of the Blue Sky adventurers walked over. She stared at Jian Chen with glowing eyes as admiration crossed her face. She seemed to be in her 20s. She was full of life and was cute with her large eyes. Although her appearance could not be described as alluring, she was still a rare beauty. "Linner, do not be rude." Zhou Chuyan glared at the woman before smiling at Jian Chen. "Sir, this is my daughter, Zhou Lin. She's still young, so she's a silly girl. I hope sir can avoid taking offense." "No problem. Captain Zhou Chuyan, let's head to the Divine Realm as soon as possible," said Jian Chen. Afterward, Zhou Chuyun brought the members of his group with Jian Chen and left. They directly traveled to the divine realm. Though, there were only 10 of them now instead of the 11 from before. The news that Zhu Ba's 18 tentacles had been severed by a 15th star expert rang through the city after they had left. The news caused a huge uproar, and the 3 great clans obviously heard about it as well. Lan Mo became rather pale in the Lanshan clan. He mumbled, "I never thought he was actually a 15th star expert. Fortunately, I held back in the tavern, or I probably wouldn't have been able to make it back to the clan safely. Only our ancestor who's disappeared for several decades can deal with an expert like that." However, an icy gaze flashed through Lan Mo's eyes. He coldly said, "The large clans of Diorc City have also received news of the divine water of the world. They've already sent experts over. You aren't the only 15th star expert." The divine realm was a region filled with danger. Not only was it dangerous because of the feral beasts present, there was also dangerous aspects of nature. They were oddly powerful, even saint rulers needed to avoid them. Jian Chen had already entered the divine realm with the blue sky adventurers. They traveled through a desolate region on ground. A mysterious force pervaded the area, suppressing Jian Chen's presence. He could only expand it to less than 1,000 meters, within the range of his vision. Even flying was suppressed. Once his feet reached 3 meters above the ground, he would be pressed down by a mysterious but powerful force. Jian Chen could not resist it either, even with his strength. They walked as they talked. Jian Chen also learned the name of the other human saint ruler that had been recruited. He was called Lu Jun. Along the way, they came across a few ignorant beasts. They were not powerful, so they were all dealt with by Zhou Lin and the Heaven Saint Masters. Suddenly, an odd beast's roar rang out. 3 crab-like feral beasts appeared before everyone. They were all 10 meters wide and possessed long tails. Their shells all possessed a 5-meter-long spike as they scurried over horizontally. They're 12th star feral beasts. This is where our job starts. Zhou Lin happily called out. The 7 other Heaven Saint Masters charged up to the 3 beasts in unison, becoming embroiled in a great battle soon. Zhou Chuyun gently sighed as he watched the 8 people fight the 3 beasts. "We were originally disciples of a medium-sized sect beyond the sea realm. Other than Zhou Lin, the 7 were elite disciples. Afterward, an enemy of our sect master came knocking and wiped out the entire sect. Everyone, over 5,000 people, was killed, including the sect master and several great elders. During that period of time, I just happened to be training on another island with the 7 of them, which was why we avoided the disaster. We came to the sea realm after that, but Zhou Lin's mother had already died in the sect." Zhou Chuyun's eyes became filled with pain. He could not bear to recall the past. It was filled with very painful memories. His heart would ache every time the past crossed his mind. "We stayed in the sea realm for over 300 years, always training in the divine realm. We used the items we obtained here to exchange for crystal coins so we could work hard on cultivation. After the past 300 years, I reached Saint Ruler while the others went from Earth Saint Master to the 6th cycle of Heaven Saint Master. They're now stuck at the bottleneck of Saint Ruler. My greatest wish is that once my strength reaches a certain level, I want to go take revenge for my wife. I know this is almost impossible, but I have always been working in that direction." Zhou Chuyun gazed at the horizon as determination filled his eyes. Jian Chen said nothing, listening quietly to Zhou Chuyun's story. He was not moved at all since stories similar to Zhou Chuyun's had already become innumerable on the Tian Yuan continent. There was no principle that those who adventured would not get hurt. At this moment, Zhou Lin and the 7 others killed off the 3 feral beasts. They returned to Zhou Chuyun's side dejected. They said, "What a pity. There are no thunderstones." Thunderstones were the material for creating quaking thunders. They appeared within the feral beasts that inhabited the divine realm, but they would not appear in every single one of them. Once filled with energy, the thunderstones would become quaking thunders. The group of them continued on, but the sky began to darken not much later. Loud, deep rumbles of thunder rang in the distance. Odd, why would there be thunder here? Does it mean it's going to rain? Chen stared at the sky out of curiosity. His face was filled with surprise. He was currently located below the sea. The barrier of the sea realm separated the land from the sea water above, but the place would not get any sun at all. As a result, it should have been impossible for storms to occur. Zhou Chuyun and the others immediately became solemn when they saw the weather. Zhou Chuyun growled, "Shit, the weather of the divine realm has changed again. We better find a cave quick, or even saint rulers will struggle to survive." Is it really that severe? Chen became even more surprised inside. The thunder of the divine realm is different from outside, and so is the rain. The lightning here is extremely densely packed. It's very difficult to avoid it on flat plains, and once struck by the lightning, it will injure your soul. Heaven Saint Masters will die without exception. Even saint rulers can only withstand a few strikes, and if struck thousands of times, even saint kings may die. On the other hand, the rain here is extremely corrosive. It will eat away your body, and it can ignore any defensive energy. No matter how tough the object is, it cannot withstand the corrosion of the rain, explained Zhou Chuyun. He quickly ran, wanting to pass through the plains and reach the mountains before the rain arrived. Chen glanced at the murky sky. He said, "We probably won't make it. It's going to rain soon." Thunder echoed in the surroundings as the deafening booms constantly rang out. The entire world was illuminated by the strikes of lightning, and lightning continued to flicker in the distance. The lightning here was much more terrifying than any other place. It would engulf a whole region of several kilometers across when it fell, sizzling every inch of the region indiscriminately. Escape would be impossible for them if the region included where they were. Chapter 11:15, Terrifying Rain, God damn it. We sure are unlucky this time. A change of weather in the outskirts of the divine realm is rare even across a whole decade. I never thought we'd come across one as soon as we came in. It'll be troublesome now. Zhou Chuyun's complexion became extremely horrible while the 8 Heaven Saint Masters behind him became pale white as well. "Father, we're slowing you down. Why don't you go first?" "Don't worry about us," Zhou Lin pleaded. Despair filled her eyes. They were currently too far from the mountains, so they would definitely not make it by the time that rain fell. "No, I will never abandon you," Zhou Chuyun firmly promised. However, the gaze of Lu Jun beside him began to flicker. He became hesitant, wanting to move faster by himself. However, he hesitated after glancing past Jian Chen. "Sirs, the situation is extremely urgent right now. It may be very difficult for me to accompany the two of you to the very end. You two go first, don't worry about the two of us," Zhou Chuyun spoke to Jian Chen and Li Jin before turning to Zhou Lin. He said with a deep voice, "Liner, hold hands with each other. I'll hurry along with you, so I hope we can arrive at a safe destination before the storm begins." Li Jin said nothing. He continued to glance at Jian Chen. He had a 15th star expert beside him, so it would always be much safer if they traveled together compared to traveling alone. "Zhou Chuyun, you definitely won't be able to make it somewhere safe before the storm arrives if you hurry along with your strength." "You should let me carry you," Jian Chen replied. Afterward, he casually waved his hand and an invisible force surrounded Zhou Lin and the other 7 Heaven Saint Masters. After that, he grabbed Zhou Chuyun and Lu Jun by the hand, using the illusory flash to hurry along as a blur. He shot into the distance as a streak of light, moving extremely quick. Jian Chen did not want to use the saint artifact here. The divine realm was dangerous, but it could not threaten them as long as they were a little cautious. This was why he wanted to travel through the place purely using his own strength. The illusory flash was an extremely profound and mysterious movement battle skill. It was a technique that Jian Chen used often. After using it so often and constantly comprehending it through the years, Jian Chen's grasp of the illusory flash had expanded to become even greater than before. His speed was several times faster than used to be. Rumble. A deafening constantly sound rang out as lighting continuously fell. It descended upon a large region of several thousand meters across, filling it with a blinding light. The force was shocking. Chen shot through the flat plains with Zhou Chuyun and the others, carefully keeping guard against the lightning. No one knew where the lightning would fall the next moment, so they were close to being struck many times. They basically traveled as if they skimmed past the lightning, causing the Heaven Saint Masters to pale in fright. Large droplets of rain fell from the sky. The rain was no ordinary rain. It could pass through all defenses formed from energy and eat away everything. If it fell on a person, it could burn a huge hole through them. At that moment, everyone pulled out a huge, inch-thick shield from their space rings and held it above them, stopping the rain from landing on them. The tough shield actually shrank at a visible rate. The refined steel was being eaten away by the rain, and the shield would give away soon. The rain's getting heavier and heavier. Once it becomes a storm, our shields will dissolve in an instant, Zhou Chuyun said with a hoarse voice. Their shields could only protect them for a moment and were not enough to carry them through the storm. Chen remained silent, pushing the illusory flash to its utmost limits. He traveled as fast as he could, and finally, a group of mountains appeared in his vision after crossing the plains. The rain became heavier and heavier and was coupled with the continuous rumbling of thunder. The sky dimmed, and the shield above Zhou Chuyun dissolved faster and faster. Everyone was already on their third shield. Roar! Roar! Beasts howled from the distance. Two huge feral beasts radiated with a bold presence as they charged toward Chen through the rain. The special rain could not harm them at all. However, Chen's speed was incomparable to these feral beasts that lacked a conscience. He passed by them very soon. With a howl of pain, the shield above Li Jin had completely dissolved. Some rain landed on him, immediately eating away his clothes. Several finger-sized holes had already been burned into him. He could not resist it even with his strength and toughness as a saint ruler. Painful howls and muffled grunts constantly rang out. The other people were all struck by the rain and their bodies immediately began to dissolve. Even Chen's chest was hit by some rain, burning a few small holes into his clothes. They could not harm his chaotic body, but they did make him feel a piercing pain. Just what is this rain to be so terrifying? Chen was surprised inside. Suddenly, Chen's face changed. He raised his head to the sky and saw soybean-sized water droplets enveloping an entire region. They filled the sky and fell. It really was raining cats and dogs, like a waterfall from heaven. We're done for. The acidity of the rain is even greater. It can melt through a shield instantly now. There's nothing we can use to block it. Zhou Lin became despaired. Chen was serious. He stared ahead fixedly. He had already caught sight of a cave positioned on the approaching mountains. The terrifying rain continued to fall. Once drenched by the rain, all of them would lose several layers of skin if they did not die. Chen was getting closer and closer to the cave right now. Every single moment counted. Whoosh! Finally, Chen shot into the cave with the group at a crucial moment with a wild gust of wind. Almost the instant he disappeared into the cave, the terrifying rain began to pour. The sky was filled with droplets that struck the ground, erupting with a great pitter-patter. So close. Zhou Lin patted her chest to calm herself down. She looked outside the cave with lingering fear. She knew exactly how terrifying the rain was, so what she just experienced was like being pulled back from death's jaws. The next moment, she paled. Agony crossed her face. She had been injured in several places, all due to the splashes that came from the drop's rain. Everyone else suffered injuries on different levels as well. The dim light of fire radiated in the depths of the cave. With the scuffling of steps, 3 middle-aged men emerged, looking at Chen and the others with hostility. Zhou Chuyun and the others became stunned, probably because they never thought that there would actually be other people present. Only Chen remained cold and composed, clearly uncaring. Warriors, we arduously carved out this cave. It sure is easy for you coming to the cave we carved out after much difficulty. Isn't that a little too much? One of the middle-aged men said with a deep voice. Chen glanced over the walls of the cave. From the marks, he could tell that the cave had existed for a very long time. It was not newly dug. As someone experienced, Zhou Chuyun could obviously tell with a single glance that the cave had not been carved out recently. He clasped his hands. Warriors, you should know about the situation outside very well. We had no other choice either, so please forgive us if we have disturbed you. If you want to seek refuge here, hand up a 14th star thunderstone each, or please leave immediately, one of the middle-aged men coldly replied. 14th star thunderstones were used to make 14th star quaking thunders. They only had a chance of appearing in the bodies of feral beasts that were at the same level. Do you really think that 14th star quaking thunders are that easy to obtain? Aren't you asking for too much? Zhou Chuyun's face sank. If you're not going to cough up, then piss off immediately, said a middle-aged man. His gaze was extremely sharp, as if he wanted to start fighting as soon as any disagreement happened. With a flash, Chen suddenly appeared before the middle-aged man who arrogantly spoke. Before he could even react, Chen grabbed him by the neck and lifted him up. He tossed him outside without any hesitation. Arg! It was already pouring outside, so the man was doused by the special and terrifying rain in an instant. Coupled with a chilling shriek, he dissolved at a visible rate. It only took a few seconds for him to completely disappear. All that was left on the ground was a puddle of blood that mixed with the rain. Why, you've actually killed Di Fei. The two other men changed in complexion. They looked at Chen in fury and shock before running toward the depths of the cave at the same time. Zhou Lin and the other Heaven Saint Masters all looked at Chen in admiration. Zhou Lin had even arrived beside him, now hugging an arm of his. Her eyes twinkled like stars as she said, "Senior Yang Yutian, you're just too awesome and too cool. You're my idol." Zhou Chuyun and Lu Jun both looked at Chen in admiration. The three middle-aged men were not powerful, but they were clearly supported by some powerful organization since they dared to cause trouble. However, Chen had just tossed one of them out of the cave without any hesitation and without any consideration for the people supporting him, making him die an untimely death. Only a 15th star expert could do something so decisively. Let's go in and see if there's any other people here, Chen suggested before walking in first. The cave was not deep. Chen arrived at the end very soon. A bonfire crackled on the ground and four old men sat in the surroundings with closed eyes. The two middle-aged men who had just fled back here sneered at Chen as they hid before the four old men. Chapter 11:16, Mountains of the Sleeping Dragon. Seniors, he was the one who killed Di Fu. He wants to take the cave for himself and try chase the four of you out. He's just too brazen and arrogant, so please kill this person. The other middle-aged man righteously said as he pointed at Chen. Seniors, it's currently raining with devastating drops outside. That arrogant person wants to forcefully take over the cave and chase us out. He clearly holds hostile intent toward us, so we can't allow him to stay here, the other middle-aged man added. He twisted the truth and spun lies. Chen coldly stared at the two men. He said, having people like you alive within this world is unnecessary. Death is what you will rest with in the end, so let me send you on your way personally, just in case you harm even more people. Chen extended a finger and two azulate sword chi shot out. They disappeared through the foreheads of the two men, wiping out their souls on the spot. They could not resist at all. Zhou Chuyun and the others also arrived at the dead end, and they just happened to see what happened. They were immediately stunned, witnessing Chen's ruthless methods once again. Chen killed without any hesitation. The four old men around the fire all opened their eyes and looked at Chen. Their gazes were filled with cold intent and a certain sharpness. Their gazes seemed to solidify in that instant, sharp like swords. They seemed to possess the power to puncture rocks. Sir, aren't you a little too heavy-handed? One of the old men asked with a deep voice. People like that deserve it. They are unnecessary in this world, Chen said, before taking firm strides toward the four old men. A cold light flashed through the old men's eyes as their muscles tightened. Vast amounts of energy violently flowed within them. They were secretly making preparations for battle at any moment. However, Chen did not move toward them. He calmly walked between the four men with composed steps, arriving near the two middle-aged men who had collapsed in their own blood. He kicked them both to where Zhou Chuyun and the others were and said, "Toss the two of them out of this cave." "All right." Zhou Chuyun and Lu Jun gave a straightforward response. Without hesitating, the two of them grabbed the corpses and carried them outside. "Sir, you sure are arrogant. You need to understand that there are countless experts in the world, always someone who is stronger. You are still not invincible." One of the old men spoke with a hoarse voice. His complexion was very ugly. The four of them did not stop Chen. They all felt somewhat fearful of him. "I am indeed not invincible, but just me is enough to deal with all of you." Chen glanced past the four old men, perhaps intentionally, and the sliver of a threat flashed through his eyes. "Sir, do you want to chase the four of us out?" The four old men's complexions were very ugly. However, they remained seated around the fire. "Not necessarily, I am not an unreasonable person. As long as you don't come looking for trouble with me, I will not come looking for trouble with you," Chen replied before sitting down on a rock by himself. He closed his eyes to rest. The four old men stared at Chen for a while. They did not say anything and then closed their eyes as well. They did not pay any attention to the other people in the cave. After dealing with the two corpses, Zhou Chuyun and Lu Jun carefully lead the Blue Sky adventurers around the four old men. They gently arrived behind Chen and pulled out recovery pills from their space rings. They made extremely gentle movements, afraid of disturbing the four old men. They knew that the old men were extremely powerful and not people they could deal with. This was because the powerful presence that radiated from the four of them was enough to make them feel fear. If Chen were not present, they probably would not even have the right to enter the cave. The rain continued for 3 days before stopping. Chen's group stayed in the cave for 3 days as a result. During that time, Chen continued his comprehension of the illusory flash and the great divination technique. He gained an even better grasp of the illusory flash, but he remained at the same level as before with the great divination technique. He had obtained nothing. 3 days later, Chen and the Blue Sky adventurers left the cave. The four old men chose to leave at the same time. They did not say anything to Chen and chose a different direction, separating with Chen. Without traveling for long, a great beast roar rang out. A feral, 30-meter-long tiger-like beast lunged at the Blue Sky adventurers. Its bloody eyes were filled with hunger, treating Chen's group as prey. "It's a 13th star feral beast. Zhou Lin and the others, back off," Zhou Chuyun ordered with a deep voice. He sternly drew his saint weapon and charged up, fighting off the feral beast. Lu Jun did not sit around either. He assisted Zhou Chuyun before slaying the beast in the end. They found a fist-sized stone within the beast's corpse. "Thunderstone, there's actually a thunderstone. It's a 13th star thunderstone." Zhou Chuyun excitedly picked up the thunderstone. If it was handed to a 13th star expert and filled with energy, it would be worth quite a few grand quality crystal coins. Everyone in the group was clearly excited by the harvest. Zhou Lin and others all praised their luck. After that, they continued on their way, heading for the depths of the divine realm. No matter how powerful the feral beasts they came across, they were all slain, but they found an extremely low number of thunderstones. A thunderstone would not appear in every feral beast and were vastly different from monster cores and magical beasts. Chen helped out during that period of time as well. He could shoot out Azulet's sword chi with a flick of his finger, killing off several 14th star feral beasts. There were plenty of beasts at the peak of the 14th star as well, but there was not a single thunderstone found, much to the Blue Sky adventurers' dismay. Jian, Chen and the other arrived at a boundless plain of seagrass. The grass there had already survived for countless years, reaching the height of trees. It could not even be described as a plain anymore but as an ancient forest formed from grass. Danger lurked in the grass. Poisonous insects and beasts moved elusively, appearing silently at any moment and deal a life-threatening attack, so anyone who entered was in danger at all times. The place was filled with marshes as well. If someone fell into one, a force from the marsh would suck the person down. Even Heaven's Saint Masters were guaranteed to die once they fell in. These were not the only dangers in the seagrass. The greatest risk was that quite a few of the seagrass had gained consciousness. Although they were unable to think, they could form huge mouths and attack passing prey, catching them off guard. Once trapped in the huge mouths formed by the grass, the prey's energy would rapidly be absorbed, allowing the grass to become even more powerful. The flesh and blood would become nutrient for the plants after being devoured. Even saint rulers would struggle to survive once caught. The people of the Blue Sky adventurers really were extremely experienced. As they made their way through the grass, they did come across many dangers, but they had all discovered them beforehand due to their experience. They managed to avoid them, so the journey was more frightening than dangerous. Half a day later, they passed through the grass. A group of mountains appeared up ahead, and from afar, they seemed like a huge dragon laying on the ground, blocking the path forward. Afar, a group that ranged into the 30s made their way toward Jian, Chen and the others. They were not weak. There were roughly 10 saint rulers while the others were all Heaven's Saint Masters. These are the mountains of the Sleeping Dragon, the largest mountain range of the Divine Realm. It splits the Divine Realm in two, and past the mountains is the depths of the Divine Realm, Zhou Chuyun explained to Jian Chen. His face was filled with exhaustion, which then became filled with caution after seeing the group of people making their way over. Lu Jun and the other members had also discovered the large group. They all secretly made preparations. Killing and looting could happen anywhere in the Divine Realm. Only Jian Chen remained staring at the mountain range up ahead. His gaze was profound, constantly glancing at various locations of the mountains. He could feel the presences of very powerful beasts in there. Warriors, may I ask if you plan on entering the depths of the Divine Realm? If you are, why don't you come with us? If we travel together, we'll be able to deal with the dangers we come across more easily, a person called out while maintaining a distance from Jian Chen's groups. At the same time, in another direction, 4 old men emerged from the grass. They stood together as they sternly gazed at the mountains. It's them. They've actually made it here as well. Looks like they also want to enter the depths of the Divine Realm. Zhou Chuyun discovered the 4 old men and involuntarily muttered out loud. Jian Chen glanced at the 4 old men. His eyes shined, but they then dulled. It was the same 4 old men they had come across in the cave. At the same time, the 4 people noticed Jian Chen. They all glanced over and a gleam of light flashed through their eyes, soon disappearing. Their gazes were deep, but they soon left. They did not go to climb the mountains and instead followed the foot of the mountains into the distance. Warriors up ahead, we're also entering the depths. Join us. If we travel together, we will reach the depths together, the middle-aged man from the large group called out, wanting to invite the 4 old men. The 4 old men completely ignored him, continuing on without even looking back. Although they traveled by foot, they moved extremely quick and disappeared very soon. At this moment, the group of people had already arrived before Jian Chen. They stood in many, smaller groups, clearly indicating they were not all together. Warriors, what do you think? Join us and we can enter the depths together, the middle-aged man suggested again, inviting them sincerely. Chapter 11:17. Passing through the mountains. Jian Chen said nothing. He just stared at the mountains while Zhou Chuyun, Lu Jun and the others all remained quiet. Clearly, they viewed Jian Chen as their leader. Sir, there are many powerful feral beasts in the mountains. There are even 16th star beasts, so it's extremely dangerous. Since the ancient times, there has not been many people who have managed to pass through the mountains. They've all passed through using a single tunnel below, explained Zhou Chuyan. He knew that this was Jian Chen's first time in the divine realm, so he knew that Jian Chen didn't know much. How much time would we roughly spend by going through the tunnel? Jian Chen asked. The tunnel's several tens of thousand kilometers away from us. We can't travel too quickly in the divine realm, and combined with the obstructions we'll come across from time to time, it should take half a month, Zhou Chuyan analyzed diligently. It must be your first time coming to the divine realm, warrior, for you to ask questions like this. The tunnel up ahead is the only way into the depths of the divine realm. No matter how long it is, you need to pass through it. Even 15th star experts aren't exceptions, and probably ordinary 16th star experts won't be enough to pass through the mountains, unless they are on par with hall elders, an old man chucked from the other group. Just join our group. We can deal with the dangers we come across together. Otherwise, you'll probably pass away before you even get close to the tunnel if you travel alone, said a skinny young man. This is already close to the depths, so 15th star feral beasts often lurk nearby. Once you come across them, you won't even be able to run away. You should join us. Then we will have the power to fight back even if we come across 15th star beasts. Many people in the group spoke to persuade Jian Chen and the others to join them. They could tell with a single glance that the Blue Sky adventurers possessed a group of Heaven Saint Masters, so they definitely could not be very powerful. Possessing 3 13th star experts was already rather impressive for them. Sir, what do you think? Zhou Chuyan looked at Jian Chen, waiting for him to make the decision. Several people in the other group were immediately interested with what Zhou Chuyan asked. To lead a 13th star expert, that person was definitely of the 14th star. If someone like that joined their group, their overall strength would definitely increase by very much. At this moment, many people had made up their minds. They decided that they needed to pull Jian Chen and the others into the group. It'll take too long to travel through the tunnel. I want to cross through the mountains, Jian Chen indifferently replied. Crossing through the mountains to him seemed like an extremely ordinary matter. However, it was a clap of thunder when the other people heard his words. They all became stunned as disbelief flooded their faces. Even Zhou Chuyan and the others who had a rough understanding of Jian Chen's strength looked the same. Although people have crossed through the mountains of the Sleeping Dragon before, all of them were terrifyingly powerful people without any exceptions. There were plenty of hall elders at the peak of the 16th star among them, possessing the power to destroy the surroundings with a gesture of the hand. Did that mean that the young man who loved to appear ordinary possessed similar strength? At that moment, Zhou Chuyan and Lu Jun began to reassess Jian Chen's strength. Crossing the mountains was definitely not something a 15th star expert could do. Warrior, you can't be joking, right? Do you really want to head through the mountains? Someone asked in disbelief. Jian Chen paid no attention to him as he walked closer to the mountain range. Zhou Chuyan and the others hesitated before making up their minds, closely following Jian Chen to the mountains. These people have no sense of danger. Do they really think that they're as powerful as a hall elder? I can guarantee that they'll die without a whole corpse soon. Someone broke into laughter. Jian Chen and the people of the Blue Sky adventurers had disappeared into the depths of the mountains. Closely after they disappeared, an earth-shaking roar broke the silence, ringing loudly through the sky. However, it soon fell silent. No one knew what had happened. That's the roar of a 15th star beast. Those people have probably died to it. They sure are ignorant. 15th star beasts are so powerful. How could they go against one with just their strength? Look, they've been torn apart by a beast before they could even do anything. Many people in the larger group sneered at the bottom of the mountains. There were also others who regretfully sighed. A few glorious 13th star experts had just passed away like that. Several dozen kilometers ahead, the 4 old men suddenly halted. They looked back at the mountains behind them. They had obviously been alerted by the great roar. Gleams of light flickered through their eyes as they were filled with doubt. Someone's entered the mountains. Is it that young man? One of the old men asked with a deep voice. He was very serious. That young man looks ordinary, but he's actually a great expert who keeps a low profile. He must be a 15th star expert. The roar was from a 15th star beast. It could only manage one roar before falling silent. Has it been killed? Impossible. 15th star beasts can't be slain so easily. Probably only 16th star experts can do something like that. Is the young man a 16th star expert? The four old men discussed the situation. They were all extremely stern, and some shock and disbelief was plastered across their faces as well. Zhou Chuyun, Lu Jin, and the others followed behind Chen as they shook in fear. Their faces were filled with dread as their legs trembled. Behind them, a huge beast lay in a pile of rocks. Its bright red blood was scattered across the ground. A 15th star beast might not have been invincible among people of the 15th star, but it was still extremely powerful. However, it had been beheaded by a single stroke from Chen, dying after roaring in fear. Killing a 15th star feral beast with a single stroke was something Zhou Chuyun and the others had never even imagined. Never would they have thought that they would personally witness something like that. They became extremely shocked, as if they were living in a dream. Chen wielded his bloody emperor armament up ahead as he carved out a path, steadily but firmly. He did not want to waste too much time here, wanting to pass through the mountain range in the shortest amount of time. As a result, he finished all of the beasts he came across as fast as he could. There were many beasts that lived in the mountains. Most of them were of the 15th star. Although they lacked the ability to think, they seemed to have gained a low level of intelligence after reaching such a level of strength. They would become rulers of their own territory. Chen advanced through the territory of many powerful beasts. He constantly fought as the power of the emperor armament erupted from time to time. He paved a path of blood. In just half a day, Chen had killed 5 15th star beasts and more than 10 14th star beasts. He obtained 2 15th star thunderstones and several 14th star thunderstones, causing Zhou Lin and the other Heaven Saint Masters to grow envious. Chen only kept the 2 15th star thunderstones, throwing the others to Zhou Chuyun. Zhou Chuyun became very excited. 14th star thunderstones were a great fortune to Zhou Chuyun and the others, but they were useless to Chen. Only 15th star thunderstones piqued his interest. On that day, the divine realm was very noisy. Roars of beasts constantly reverberated across the mountains, alarming countless adventurers in the divine realm. The roars caused quite a large disturbance and various discussions could be heard everywhere. Some people were saying that a king beast had been born in the mountains. It possessed a terrifying strength and was currently engaging in battles everywhere to expand its territory. There were also others who said that a terrifyingly powerful person had ventured into the mountain range, which shocked many adventurers. Below the mountains, a large group of adventurers currently moved by foot. Their complexions were very horrible, glancing back from time to time. They were filled with shock and doubt. They could hear the great beast roars from several hundred kilometers away, which caused them to be filled with shock and an uneasiness. They knew that a king beast had not been born, rather a powerful adventurer had entered the mountains. This is impossible. He's actually still alive. The roars are filled with pain and fear. They sound so miserable. These are roars of despair right before death. Was that ordinary-looking young man a 15th star expert? No, it's likely he was a 16th star expert. There have been many roars, so he's roughly killed 20 beasts. There are 15th star ones among them. People carefully analyzed the roars from the ground. They were utterly shocked. They had never thought that such a powerful expert had just brushed past them. The people who had spoken scornful remarks toward Chen and the others were feeling the effects in particular. They were completely unsettled and filled with regret. At the same time, 9 black-robed men of various ages entered Divine City as they rode feral beasts. The patriarch of the Lanshan clan personally came to welcome them, politely inviting them into his clan. The patriarch of the Lanshan clan lowered himself as he greeted the esteemed guests in an extravagant hall within the Lanshan clan. Experts of Diorc City, welcome to my Lan Shan clan. You must have come for the divine water of the world, said the patriarch. Correct. We have indeed come for the divine water. Patriarch, please tell us all the details regarding the matter, a middle-aged man replied indifferently. Only the captain of a group of adventurers called the Blue Sky Adventurers knows the location of the divine water. However, they've recruited a few experts and have already entered the divine realm, said the patriarch. The 9 people from Diorc City immediately frowned when they heard that. I've planted a tracking imprint onto a member of the adventurers. I am willing to lead the way for you all. Lan Mo walked in from outside and said to the black-robed people. Chapter 11:18, Strongest on the mountain peak. All right then, you can lead the way. We cannot delay this matter, so we will be leaving now, said the middle-aged man who had come from Diorc City. He possessed quite some status in the group and possessed the authority to speak for the others. The group of people set off for the divine realm as Lan Mo lead them. I'll definitely make you regret it for killing my guards. So what if you're of the 15th star? I have my methods of dealing with you. I'll let the experts from Diorc City handle you. Lan Mo coldly smiled from time to time as he led the group toward the divine realm. At the same time, an iron tower several hundred meters tall stood like a pillar connecting the earth and the sky in the center of a luxurious clan within a large city, several tens of thousand kilometers away. It loomed over the entire city from above. This was the greatest clan of Biyao City, the Huangdao clan. Indubitably, they held supreme power in the surrounding radius of several tens of thousand kilometers. An old man courteously stood before a heavy metal door on the highest level of the tower. He politely said, Ancestor, the 100-footed clan of Diorc City has already sent experts into the divine realm, likely to retrieve the divine water of the world. I met up with that old bastard from the 100-footed clan a few months ago and had a great fight. I injured his soul, and it cannot be healed with regular medicine. He probably wants to find the divine water to heal his injuries. Does he really think that the water's easy to find? Countless 16th star experts and even hall elders have come out empty-handed in the past, an old voice boomed from within the metal door. It was extremely weak, and as soon as the person finished talking, he could not help but violently cough. Ancestor, are your injuries all right? Someone seems to have found signs of the divine water in Divine City. I think the 100-footed clan must have learned about the water from him, the old man outside asked in concern. Compared to the injuries to the soul of that old bastard from the 100-footed clan, my wounds are much better. Since the divine water of the world has appeared in the divine realm, we can't let the people of the 100-footed clan obtain it. Immediately send the Grand Elder with a few people to the divine realm to fight over it, the ancestor of the Huangdao clan said. Soon after that, a group of a dozen or so hurried out of the clan. Even the weakest members were saint rulers, and they were led by 2 saint kings. A group as powerful as this could essentially run amok on the Tianyuan continent without having to worry about consequences. Even peak-level organizations were unwilling to offend 2 saint kings so easily, unless it boiled down to life or death. However, a group of similar strength in the sea realm was only considered a decent existence. This was because the sea realm's overall strength was greater than the Tianyuan continent. The numbers of saint emperors, saint kings, and saint rulers all exceeded amount on Tianyuan continent. More and more people learned about the divine water of the world. In a radius of several 100,000 kilometers, many powerful clans began to move. They all sent their experts to the divine realm in an attempt to get their hands on the water. The divine water from the divine realm was an extremely wondrous treasure of the world. Not only could it completely change the constitution of people, allowing people to obtain supreme talent that was rarely ever seen, it possessed indescribable benefits for the soul. It could allow a person to undergo a qualitative increase. Although the effects would not be as obvious to saint kings, it still possessed extremely great benefits. The divine water could appear at any time in the depths of the divine realm. On average, only a tiny amount would appear every 1,000 years, so searching for it completely depended on luck. As a result, the water became a rare treasure that was in great demand, but there was no supply. In the mountains of the Sleeping Dragon, Jian Chen led the Blue Sky adventurers and approached the highest peak in just a little more than half a day. Once they passed through there, they would have formally stepped into the depths. Jian Chen's emperor armament had been completely dyed red with blood. He purposely did not clean off the blood. Along the way, he had stepped over countless corpses of powerful feral beasts using his emperor armament. He had slain 10 15th star beasts and even 3 16th star ones. Though, their strength ranged from the 5th to the 6th heavenly layer. He obtained 4 15th star thunderstones and 1 16th star thunderstone in total. The people of the Blue Sky adventurers had already become completely numb to Jian Chen's supreme strength. Following behind him, they did nothing for him but reaped great benefits, enough to make them go crazy from joy. This was because Jian Chen did not keep a single 14th star thunderstone he found along the way, giving them all to them. Their profits from that single day had already exceeded everything they had made in the divine realm in the past 300 years. During this time, the people at the outskirts of the divine realm were thrown into a complete uproar. The roars from 15th star feral beasts in the mountains of the Sleeping Dragon rang throughout most of the divine realm, allowing many people to learn that there was currently a supreme expert on a rampage in the mountains. However, none of them knew just what strength this expert possessed. Only the group of adventurers and the 4 old men saw Jian Chen and the others enter the mountains. The Blue Sky explorers followed Jian Chen from 100 meters away, to avoid the ripples of battle from the fights with the feral beasts. Every single one of them looked at Jian Chen with gazes filled with admiration and fanaticism. At this moment, Jian Chen suddenly stopped. He stared at a cave 10 kilometers ahead for a while before turning to them. There's a powerful beast within the cave. Stay here, I'll go deal with it first. The members of the Blue Sky mercenaries all replied before carefully backing off to several kilometers away. They hid behind a huge rock in the end. Jian Chen wielded the emperor armament as he shot toward the top of the mountain in a blur. The feral beasts of the mountains did not possess any intelligence, but they were very territorial. Almost every single one of them would possess their own territory. As long as other people or beasts did not intrude on their territory, they would not attack even if they had discovered a target. They were clearly different from other types of beasts. Roar. A deafening roar boomed from the top of the mountain as soon as Jian Chen set foot in its territory. The entire mountains shook and a few boulders cracked, causing them to rain down. The terrifying sound wave caused the space there to ripple. If it were not for the toughness of the space there, that roar probably would have shattered from the single roar. A huge, serpent dragon took to the air from the top of the mountain. It hovered 10 meters above the ground, revealing its 300-meter-long body. Violet scales glistened all over it in a blinding fashion as a terrifying presence enveloped all of the surroundings, radiating far beyond the mountains. It frightened all the adventurers who passed by below, all paling as a result. In the distance, the 4 old men stopped. They turned their heads to the origin of the sound. They were all solemn and one of them said, "That sounds like a serpent dragon. It's one of the strongest existences within the mountains. I never thought that someone would have already reached there. That person's strength is far greater than the 4 of us. Fortunately, we didn't end up fighting him before. The most powerful existences of the mountains have almost all reached the peak of the 16th star. They've stopped many 16th star experts in the past, and some of these 16th star experts have died to them before. I wonder if that young man can make it past them. I hope that person dies to the serpent dragon, or we may face danger at any moment once he enters the depths of the divine realm." The 4 old men's expressions all took a very bad turn. They felt pressured by Jian Chen's strength. Jian Chen finally became stern. He had sensed the vast presence of the serpent dragon at the top of the mountain long ago, but its true strength had far exceeded his expectations. 9th heavenly layer of Saint King, only a step away from becoming invincible below Saint Emperor, Jian Chen murmured. However, he felt no fear at all. He already knew from the feral beasts he killed earlier that they were powerful, but they did not possess any abilities and didn't have much intelligence. All their movements were based off instinct, far different from human experts of the same level. The glistening serpent dragon furiously roared from the top of the mountain. Its blood-red eyes stared fixedly at Chen as it spat out a mouthful of purple flames. Chen used the illusory flash, and with a step, he appeared several hundred meters ahead, right in front of the serpent dragon after leaving behind an afterimage where he had been standing before. He leaped to the top of the serpent dragon's head and stabbed down with the Emperor armament as it emanated a dark light. The entire weapon plunged in, only leaving the sword hilt exposed. Red blood squirted from the serpent dragon's head. It produced a painful wail as it writhed violently in the air. It wanted to shake Chen off. Chen held on to the Emperor armament with his right hand to stabilize himself while he grabbed a few scales with his left hand. He could not be shaken off no matter how much the serpent dragon struggled. Although the beast was at the 9th heavenly layer of Saint King, it did not possess much intelligence at all. All of its movements were based off instinct, so it immediately suffered against Chen, who was extremely experienced in battle. Crack! The air cracked as a violet streak of light flashed by. The thick tail of the serpent dragon nimbly moved about, creating an explosive sound in the air. A strike from it would be extremely destructive. Chapter 11:19, Slaying the Violet Serpent Dragon. The serpent dragon's tail viciously whipped across Chen's back. His clothes were reduced to rags in an instant as the powerful force ripped Chen from the dragon's head. His back turned to a blood mess and many of his bones broke. The serpent dragon was just too powerful after all. It lacked intelligence, but every single attack from it was at the level of 9th heavenly layer Saint King's. Even with Chen's powerful chaotic body, he could not withstand such attacks. Chen was thrown back 5 kilometers. He then flipped in the air and steadily landed on the ground. A streak of blood ran from the corner of his lips as chaotic force coldly surged through him. Not only did he push the chaotic body to its limits, he also used the chaotic force to quickly regenerate his injuries. At the same time, strands of white light rose from Chen's body. He used half a strand of radiant Saint Force origin energy to heal as well, though the glow was not very bright. Crack! Crack! With clear, crisp sounds that came from bones, Chen's broken bones on his back quickly healed at a visible pace. Under the recovery of both radiant Saint Force origin energy and the chaotic force, he regenerated at an unbelievable rate. Chen dared not be careless against a 9th heavenly layer Saint King's serpent dragon. He needed to use everything he had. The beast before him was incomparable to the spectral elder of the Mahal, the opponent he fought most recently. Roar! The violet serpent dragon let out a huge roar. It was filled with pain, and the might of a true dragon was vaguely present within it. Its 300-meter-long body violently writhed, smashing into the rocks and shaking the entire mountain. Broken pieces of stone were thrown everywhere. When Chen had stabbed the head of the serpent dragon before, he had injected a sliver of chaotic force into its huge head. It was currently rampaging wildly and wreaking havoc on the serpent dragon's nerves, causing it excruciating pain. However, the serpent dragon was still a powerful existence at the 9th heavenly layer of Saint King. Its body and vitality were just too powerful. Coupled with the fact that it lacked an origin soul, the chaotic force failed to harm it as heavily as it would harm a Class 8 magical beast. A bright, purple light began to glow from the dragon as terrifying energy caused the mountain peak to violently pulse. The serpent dragon instinctively used all of its energy to temporarily suppress the chaotic force in its head. It swung its tail, which cracked with a crisp sound in the air, as it shot toward Chen in the form of a blur. Chen was still healing, but he was on guard. Almost the moment the tail shot out, he moved. Using the illusory flash, he shifted from where he had stood almost instantaneously, leaving in the form of a blur. He charged toward the serpent dragon up ahead fearlessly. Boom! The tail viciously struck the ground where Chen had been standing before with a great force, immediately producing a deafening boom. The entire mountain range shook and several smaller mountains began to collapse from the vibrations. As Chen approached the serpent dragon, he leaped, wanting to jump onto its head once more and deal a fatal blow. The serpent dragon angrily growled. It lacked intelligence, but it had suffered once already. It had obviously learned and knew that it could not let Jian Chen onto its head. It immediately swung its head to one side and spat out purple flames at the same time, bathing Jian Chen in a sea of fire. The purple flames were extremely terrifying. Blotting out the sky, they seemed to be able to burn even air. Some of the rocks on the ground had even been reduced to flaming red lava. Jian Chen was in the air at this time, so he could not avoid the flames. He was cloaked by the purple flames, and the temperature was so terrifying that even his chaotic body was not enough to endure it. He felt intense pain all over. Jian Chen bellowed out and chaotic force immediately began to gush out from the chaotic Niden within his dantian. It exited through his skin, forming a barrier outside him to block the fire. Jian Chen then raised the Emperor armament at the sky and a supreme sword intent radiated from him. He swung out twice with lightning speed. Two sword chi, completely condensed from chaotic force, flashed out as black streaks. They broke through the flames and shot toward the serpent dragon's eyes with lightning-like speed. Spurt. The serpent dragon's eyes exploded. It could not help but let out a howl from the agonizing pain, causing it to stop spitting out the flames. Jian Chen did not hesitate at all. He quickly approached the serpent dragon with his emperor armament and stabbed at the center of its forehead. Even though the serpent dragon possessed a very tough defense, its body was unable to stop a full-strength blow from Jian Chen. As blood squirted out, the emperor armament was stabbed into its head once more, and just like last time, only the hilt was visible. Jian Chen's eyes were cold. Without giving any time to the serpent dragon to respond, he immediately pulled out the emperor armament. With a tremble of his arm, he instantly stabbed out 3 times. The attack seemed to barely be visible with only blurry afterimages remaining. The speed was unbelievable. As every strike entered the serpent dragon's head, a strand of chaotic force was deposited. In agony, the serpent dragon began to madly struggle. Its huge head rammed into Jian Chen's body, sending him into the air. Its vitality was just too great, and it lacked an origin soul, so it lacked a weakness. It remained just as lively as before even after sustaining so many life-threatening attacks. Jian Chen landed on a huge rock and stabilized himself. Afterward, he suddenly pushed off and the rock immediately shattered. He shot toward the serpent dragon like a rocket as he wielded the emperor armament high above his head with his 2 hands. The emperor armament quickly expanded, reaching 30 meters in length in a short while. A layer of destructive chaotic force wrapped around it. Jian Chen held the sword with 2 hands and his presence skyrocketed to the limit. With a deep growl, he swung the huge sword toward the dragon's neck. The serpent dragon's neck immediately began to flow with blood. A quarter of its neck was chopped through, forming a vicious wound. Jian Chen lifted his hands one more, raising the sword to the sky again. He wanted to chop down and completely behead the serpent dragon. Suddenly, the violet serpent dragon opened its large mouth. Before Jian Chen could swing down a second time, it lunged out, after sensing where Jian Chen was. Jian Chen had never thought that the blind serpent dragon that lacked intelligence could still sense where he was. Caught off guard, he was bitten by the serpent dragon. One of its sharp teeth pierced through Jian Chen's chest, lodging his body in the dragon's mouth. Pain ached from his chest. The serpent dragon's head had already become bloody. It pinned down Jian Chen with its mouth and a sharp tooth through his chest. It then began to shake its head desperately. It was trying to rip Jian Chen to pieces. If any other Saint King ended up in the same position as him, they would have been ripped to pieces long ago. However, Jian Chen's chaotic body was just astounding. It forcefully resisted, and Jian Chen failed to become more injured. Though, violent pain flooded his body as his flesh was twisted. Jian Chen furiously roared as the emperor armament returned to its regular size in the blink of an eye. Afterward, he swung it at the serpent dragon's tooth as hard as he could. The dragon had closed its mouth. If Jian Chen did not break through the sharp tooth, he would not break free at all. Although the serpent dragon was of the 9th heavenly layer, it lacked intelligence and did not possess any Saint King abilities. It purely relied its instincts to fight, so Chen did not need any foreign help to deal with the beast. He could kill it on his own with the Emperor armament. The tooth was extremely tough. Chen only managed to cut through it after swinging 5 times, and he immediately plucked the 2-meter-long tooth from his chest. But, at this moment, he smelled a sharp putrid smell. The serpent dragon's mouth immediately wrapped around Chen, who had just been freed from its head, immediately sucking him back down its neck without any time for Chen to respond. It had swallowed Chen whole. The next moment, the serpent dragon's body began to violently tremble. It wailed in agony, and with a spurt, a bloody hole suddenly appeared in its body. Chen had punctured a meter-wide hole from inside, making it out of the dragon's body coated in blood. Afterward, he expanded the Emperor armament to 30 meters once more and viciously struck the wound on the dragon's neck. He expanded the cut to twice the size of before, where only half of the flesh kept the dragon's head to its body. Chen did not stop at all. He swung viciously once more and the serpent dragon's wound deepened again. He then moved and disappeared from where he was standing with an afterimage. Almost the moment he disappeared, a purple light flashed by. The tail of the serpent dragon swept over to where Chen had been explosively. At this moment, Chen swung a 4th time. The huge sword chopped toward the remaining quarter of the serpent's dragon neck with a terrifying pulse of energy. Roar! The serpent dragon wailed miserably in a deafening manner. Its huge head was finally separated from its long body. It hit the ground with a loud thud and kicked dust into the air. The serpent dragon did not die after it had been beheaded. Its 300-meter-long body constantly writhed on the ground as its head miserably growled. The 2 parts quickly approached one another, trying to reconnect. Chen could not let it do as it wished. He knew that it would basically be incapacitated once the head was separated from the body, so he took a step and stopped the head from reaching the body. He continuously swung the Emperor armament, filled with destructive chaotic force, at the head, turning the head into mush. The beasts here were different from magical beasts. No matter how powerful the magical beasts on the Tianyuan continent were, they would immediately die once their souls were wiped out. On the other hand, the serpent dragon lacked a soul in its head, so it possessed one less fatal weakness. With its extremely great vitality, Chen could only use the most primal method to kill it. Finally, the serpent dragon stopped wailing. Its long body slowly stopped moving, no longer struggling. Its vast vitality quickly leaked away, overtaken by the presence of death. Chapter 1120, Killers of the Divine Realm. Soaring ants. Chen could not help but let out a breath of relief. He had finally slain the violet serpent dragon. Afterward, he flicked his sword up and a bloody object flew out of the serpent dragon's head. It landed heavily in Chen's hand. This was the thunderstone in the serpent dragon. It could store the power of a 9th heavenly layer Saint King and deal an attack at the same level. It was only slightly worse than the flaming jadeites he had received from the president of the Radiant Saint Master Union. Chen put the thunderstone and his Emperor armament into his space ring before sitting down nearby. Streaks of milky white light radiated from him as he used the remaining half a strand of Radiant Saint Force origin energy to heal. He needed to make a full recovery as soon as possible. The huge hole in Chen's chest, which had been created by the dragon's tooth, healed at a visible rate. His flesh was regrowing. Far away, Zhou Chuyun and Lu Jun walked over with the other Heaven Saint Masters with mixed feelings. They all paled when they saw the headless serpent dragon on the floor. This was one of the most powerful beasts on the peak of the mountains of the Sleeping Dragon. Even though it had not reached the peak of the 16th star, it was not far off. It was just as powerful as the Hall Elders of the 3 factions in the Sea Realm. They felt extremely great shock when they witnessed its corpse. This serpent dragon isn't weak, and every single part of it is a treasure. Clean it up first. You will have your share of it, Chen suddenly spoke to them as he healed. He needed to make a full recovery as fast as possible, so he could not bother with the corpse for now. Zhou Chuyun and the others ravished in joy. They hurriedly thanked him before immediately beginning to carve up the corpse. However, the serpent dragon's flesh was just too tough. Even though it was dead, they found it extremely arduous to clean up. Suddenly, a thunderous rumble rang through the air. The sky of the divine realm began to darken once more and thunder constantly rumbled. A streak of lightning would flicker through the clouds from time to time, shining with blinding light and illuminating the entire sky. Chen opened his eyes and looked at the dark sky. He immediately frowned and stopped healing. He drew his emperor armament from his space ring to help clean up the serpent dragon. With Chen, the cleanup process obviously became much faster. Chen pulled out the tendons and dug out its heart. Chen removed every single of its violet scales. The scales were extremely tough. If they were made into armor, the armor would even be able to block attacks from a saint ruler. The scales were even resistant to the full-powered attacks from those below the fifth heavenly layer of Saint King, so they were an exceptional treasure to weaker people. An armor made from the scales would be very tough, but it might not be able to protect the life of the person wearing it. All it provided was a greater defensive strength. A saint ruler with armor made out of the scales could be shaken to death by the absolute force of a Saint King, even if the Saint King could not puncture the armor. Besides those items, Chen also stored up quite a lot of the dragon's blood using jade bottles from Zhou Chuyun. The jade bottles were similar to space rings. They did not seem to be very big, but they contained huge interiors, able to store several thousand liters of liquid. The blood of serpent dragons was extremely valuable as well, especially when it came from one who had reached the 9th heavenly layer of Saint King. By bathing in it, Heaven's Saint Masters and those below could strengthen their bodies, but it was not very effective for saint rulers who already possessed tough bodies. The layer of clouds in the sky sank lower and lower. It was about to pour. Chen knew he did not have much time left. In the end, he carved up a huge piece of serpent dragon flesh before hiding in the huge cave that the serpent dragon had inhabited. Rain began to fall soon after that. The acid rain landed on the remains of the serpent dragon, and the remains immediately began to dissolve at a visible rate. All of it disappeared very soon. No residue was left behind. Chen immediately became perturbed when he saw this. He could still remember last time when he was hurrying along with the Blue Sky Adventurers and their steel shields. At that time, there had been several beasts who thrived in the rain without suffering any injuries. The rain posed no threat to them at all, yet the serpent dragon's corpse was dissolving. This made him very confused. Zhou Chuyun gave an explanation after seeing Chen's puzzled expression. Esteemed warrior, the rain of the divine realm cannot harm the beasts that live in it, but it can dissolve their corpses. The rain can also dissolve all foreign objects brought in. Only things that are native to the divine realm are unaffected. Does that mean if I chop off a piece of rock and carry it over my head, it will block the rain? Chen asked. Correct. You can do that, but it's still too dangerous. Virtually no one dares to do that because the rocks here are not indestructible. A battle will occur when you come across a beast, and it'll become dangerous once the rock shatters. Also, the weather of the divine realm is different from outside. It's wet and windy here, so some of the water on the ground can even be swept up by the gusts. As a result, it's not safe even when you hide under a rock. The best method is to avoid the weather in a cave, explained Zhou Chuyun. Afterward, he painfully watched the serpent dragon's flesh dissolve and said, "What a pity. So much serpent dragon flesh has just been wasted. It can be sold for quite a lot outside." Chen finally understood. He then split a small portion of the blood and flesh he had obtained with Zhou Chuyun and the others, before settling down on the floor by himself to heal. The rain stopped the next day. Chen led the Blue Sky Adventurers as they continued on their way through the mountains toward the depths of the divine realm. He had made a full recovery with his chaotic force and radiant Saint Force origin energy, back in peak condition again. The way down the mountains was much easier. Although they still came across feral beasts from time to time, they were nowhere near as powerful as the serpent dragon. They were almost all of the 14th or 15th star. The corpses of these feral beasts were relatively ordinary, nowhere near as valuable as the violet serpent dragon. Even the people of the blue sky adventurers did not bother with cleaning them up. Zhou Chuyun, where did you find the divine water of the world in the depths of the divine realm? Jian Chen asked Zhou Chuyun as they made their way down. They had formerly stepped into the depths now. Esteemed warrior, it's best if you let me identify where we are since we entered the depths via a different path this time. I need to find the marks I left behind, Zhou Chuyun replied. Alright, you can lead the way. I'll deal with the feral beasts that come looking for trouble along the way. When we find the divine water, there'll be your share, Jian Chen said to Zhou Chuyun. All of them continued on their way, but the person in front was now Zhou Chuyun. At the same time, the 100-footed clan from Diorc City had entered the divine realm as well under Lan Mo's guidance. Lan Mo used a secret technique to detect where the blue sky adventurers were, and he became stunned with that. He mumbled, how is that possible? They've actually reached the depths of the divine realm already. How did they travel so far in such a short amount of time? Isn't this just too fast? There must be an expert leading their group, or how else can they travel so quickly? We need to speed up since they've already reached the depths of the divine realm. Let's go, an old man indifferently spoke from within the group before immediately shooting toward the depths. Soon after the people of the 100-footed clan entered the divine realm, the group of experts from the Huangdao clan of Biyao City had arrived as well. They were led by a 15th star expert, also heading toward the depths. In the blink of an eye, 3 days passed. Jian Chen had moved through the depths with the blue sky adventurers during that time, and they had come close to danger many times. Just the beasts that ambushed them reached a dozen or so. The weakest was of the 13th star, and there were quite a few 15th star beasts. Suddenly, the buzzing sound of wings rang out from all direction. Jian Chen's group could not help but stop. What is this sound? Lu Jun looked around at his surroundings. He became rather stern. Even 15th star experts could die in the depths, so they needed to be cautious. Jian Chen also looked around, but he found nothing. His presence was unfortunately suppressed, so he could only expand it 1,000 meters away. It was no further than what he could see. The buzzing became louder and louder, basically blanketing the entire region. A huge, black mass gradually appeared before everyone. It was present everywhere, surrounding all of them. That's a group of jade-green flying ants. The smallest are fist-sized while some can reach up to the size of grown men. Jian Chen's vision was much better than Zhou Chuyun and the others, so he could identify what the black mass was from very far away. He felt troubled. He had discovered that there were far too many flying ants. They were packed together and basically blotted out the sky. Zhou Chuyun's and Lu Jun's expressions drastically changed when they heard that. Deep fear appeared in their eyes, and they involuntarily cried out, "Shit, it's the legendary killers of the divine realm, the soaring ants. There's an endless number of them and their bodies are tough like steel. They feast on energy and are immune to all energy attacks. They can ignore Saint Ruler and Saint King abilities. Retreat, retreat quickly. We need to retreat out of the soaring ants' territory immediately, or even people as powerful as Hall Elders will be devoured." Jian Chen's expression also changed. Immune to all energy attacks and able to ignore spatial abilities, Saint Rulers and Saint Kings just lost their greatest advantages before these soaring ants. All those below Saint Ruler were ants. The reason why that saying was valid was because all Saint Rulers had a basic grasp on spatial manipulation and possessed the capability to gather world force, yet these abilities were useless against the soaring ants. All of them turned around and began sprinting off in the direction they had come. However, they had already been encircled by the soaring ants, so they came up against a wall of soaring ants whichever direction they ran. The soaring ants were not powerful on their own. They were only possessed around the strength of an Earth Saint Master, but there were just far too many of them. Chapter 1121. A divine beast. Jian Chen charged in front of everyone and immediately drew his emperor armament from his space ring. He said with a deep voice, "You need to be careful and protect yourselves. I'll pave a path by killing." Jian Chen dared not to act careless while facing so many soaring ants. Chaotic force flowed violently within him, filling every inch of his body. He pushed the defenses of the chaotic body to the limit. I wonder if these soaring ants can devour my chaotic force or withstand my attacks imbued with chaotic force, Jian Chen thought inside. He had already approached the wall of soaring ants in an instant. With a flash of black light, he had stabbed out with lightning-like speed. A huge sword chi shot forward. The huge sword chi flew through the swarm of ants like a dragon, creating several consecutive booms. The sword chi chopped through the swarm like a hot knife through butter, colliding against countless soaring ants. It passed through the boulder behind the swarm in the end, disappearing with a deafening boom. Immediately, a large group of densely packed soaring ants dropped out of the sky. A passage, empty of enemies, had actually appeared where the sword chi had passed through while the ground lay covered in a layer of ants. Jian Chen rejoiced inside when he saw this. His chaotic force was different from ordinary energy. Although these ants were immune to all energy attacks, they were not immune to chaotic force. Zhou Chuyun and Lu Jun immediately became excited when they saw Jian Chen kill so many ants with a single sword chi. They had guessed that the energy Jian Chen used was different long ago, but they had never thought it was so powerful and that it could harm the ants. However, their expressions froze very soon. The ants that had fallen on the ground began beating their wings and started flying again. Only a very small portion had died to Jian Chen's attack. Jian Chen's complexion changed as well. His attack was as powerful as a blow from a 7th heavenly layer Saint King, yet it had actually failed to kill off all the soaring ants at Earth Saint Master. This scene shocked him. These soaring ants really are amazing. They may not be immune to my chaotic force, but the effectiveness of chaotic force is greatly reduced against them, Jian Chen sighed in amazement inside. The universe truly was vast for such an organism to exist. The clean path carved out by Jian Chen's sword chi was quickly filled again by the many soaring ants. The ants seemed to have formed an airtight wall against Jian Chen and the others, wanting to trap them there. At the same time, the ants in the surroundings rapidly approached Jian Chen and the others. They surrounded them, gradually decreasing the amount of space the group could move. Jian Chen clenched the Emperor armament with his right hand. A devastatingly dark light shot out, and he sent 3 more sword chi into the swarm of ants ahead to temporarily carve out a path. "Let's go." Jian Chen yelled at the people behind before charging through the path first. When his feet landed on the ground full of the ants, he could clearly feel twitches from beneath. All the people of the Blue Sky Adventurers became panic-stricken. They followed Jian Chen closely. If it were not for the fact that Jian Chen had attracted all of the ants' attention, they definitely would not still be alive. Jian Chen had already charged into the swarm and was now surrounded by dense layers of ants. He continuously stabbed out, forming a net of blurs around him. He chopped the fist-sized ants in front of him into 2. The flying ants' immunity to energy attacks was just too powerful, so sharp sword chi was affected as well. The power of chaotic force against the ants were greatly reduced. As a result, Jian Chen completely relied on the sharpness of the Emperor armament and his own body's strength to kill the ants. He could kill several with every stroke. The screeching of metal would ring out as his Emperor armament struck the steel-like bodies of the ants. Jian Chen used his swordsmanship effectively at that moment, but there were just too many ants. They came at him endlessly, so he was unable to deal with all the attacks from every direction even with his quick sword techniques. Quite a few fist-sized soaring ants lunged toward his back, biting it viciously with their mandibles. But what happened next was unbelievable. The sharp jaws of the ants could not even puncture Jian Chen's skin. The ants' most terrifying ability was their resistance toward any forms of energy, which was why they could threaten Saint Kings. However, Jian Chen's chaotic body could withstand attacks from 3rd heavenly layer Saint Kings and come out unscathed. This was not a defense created through energy but just the toughness of flesh. This was why the flying ants could not scathe him. Suddenly, the ants on Jian Chen's back spat out some white liquid. Jian Chen felt a burning sensation on his back and strands of smoke actually appeared where the white liquid landed. This was an extremely corrosive poison. It was so powerful that he felt a wave of pain even with his chaotic body. However, the ants were just far too weak. They were only at the level of Earth Saint Masters, so even if they used everything they had, they could not get through his chaotic body. If it were any other Saint King, these ants would mean almost certain death. They did not have bodies as tough as Jian Chen's, and with their Saint King abilities rendered ineffective, any barrier of energy would be useless before the flying ants. They would not be able to avoid the attacks at all. Suddenly, the people behind Jian Chen painfully wailed. Including Zhou Chuyun and Lu Jun, all of them were covered by the ants. The soaring ants' attacks had passed through their protective layer of energy with their natural ability and had stabbed their mandibles deep into their bodies and were rapidly absorbing their energy. Their blood and their vitality was being drained away by the ants. Jian Chen's face slightly changed when he saw this. He originally did not want to rely on any external help, but he was without choice now that Zhou Chuyun and the others were in danger. He immediately pulled out the Saint artifact and sucked them in along with the ants on them. Without Zhou Chuyun and the others dragging him down, it became much easier for Jian Chen to deal with the ants. He used the Emperor armament to continuously cull the ants in front of him, quickly charging away. Suddenly, a swarm of head-sized ants flew over. They were completely azure, different from regular flying ants. However, they were only at the level of Heaven Saint Masters. The ants still posed no threat to Jian Chen, who mercilessly killed them off with a single stroke of the sword. Very soon, over 20 flying ants, half the size of a regular human, flew over. They were also azure but much deeper in color, and they had reached Saint Ruler. The Saint Ruler soaring ants were far stronger than the Earth Saint Master ants. When they bit Jian Chen with their sharp jaws, he felt like he had been stabbed by needles. The acid from them caused Jian Chen's body to hiss and turn bright red, as if it had been burned. He felt a burning pain. Jian Chen's heart sank. If this continued, he had no idea if Saint King flying ants would appear. It would be troublesome if he really did come across such powerful soaring ants. Clang! Clang! Jian Chen struck out as hard as he could, sending the 2 Saint Ruler ants in front of him flying. After that, he charged away as fast as he could, finally breaking free from the swarm of ants. He did not stop at all, continuing to travel further away. A constant buzzing vibrated the air behind him. The dense swarm of ants followed Jian Chen with the Saint Ruler ants flying at the very front. Suddenly, with an odd cry from behind, the wall of ants immediately stopped pursuing Jian Chen. Even the huge Saint Ruler ants stopped as well. Jian Chen glanced back and his eyes immediately froze. A 6-winged, fist-sized ant hovered in the air as a scarlet and orange light revolved around it. It seemed like a lord descending upon its citizens. A Saint King soaring ant, a king. Jian Chen's heart sank. He had never thought that there would be such a powerful existence among the ants. Although it was nowhere near as powerful as the violet serpent dragon, it was much harder to deal with. Jian Chen began to wonder whether Saint Kings could even harm the soaring ant king. I should have left the territory of the soaring ants by now. Fortunately that soaring ant king didn't pursue, or I would be forced to run, Jian Chen secretly rejoiced. The effectiveness of his chaotic force against the Earth Saint Master ants was insignificant, so it would almost have no effect against the soaring ant king. It's a 7-colored heaven-devouring beast. I never thought that such a heaven-defying divine beast would exist here. Suddenly, the sword spirits' voices rang through Jian Chen's head. They were filled with shock, surprising Jian Chen to the point where he stared blankly. Zi-ing, do you recognize that soaring ant king? Jian Chen was astounded. He knew that items or organisms that could be named by the sword spirits were definitely not simple. Master, the flying ant surrounded by the 2 lights is a young divine beast. It still hasn't completely evolved. Once the lights around it turn to 7, it will become a true divine beast. It can devour anything in the world. It will become extremely powerful and very difficult to deal with, explained Ziying. Chapter 11:22, One Stalking Another, Ziying, doesn't that mean all these soaring ants can evolve into 7-colored heaven-devouring beasts? Chen asked in surprise. If it were true, then the number of divine beasts would have been just too terrifying. Master, that can be the case on paper, but it's impossible to get them all to evolve into 7-colored heaven-devouring beast, because even in our vast and powerful world, there are extremely few of them. They're basically miraculous existences, so it's impossible for there to be too many 7-colored heaven-devouring beasts, said Ziying. It's a pity that this one only has 2 lights so far, so it's not a true 7-colored heaven-devouring beast. Only after it evolves to 7 lights does it become a true divine beast. However, the evolutions require vast quantities of energy. It's already extremely difficult for it to evolve to 2 colors in a place like this that lacks so many resources. It's absolutely impossible to evolve to 7 colors. Qing Suo's voice rang through Jian Chen's head as well. It was filled with some pity. All you can say is that the divine beast was born in the wrong place. If it was in our world, it would probably evolve to 7 colors in less than 10,000 years, said Ziying. His voice was also filled with regret, feeling pity for the divine beast. Ziying, Qing Suo, if the divine beast fully evolves, what level of strength will it possess? Chen asked. He was curious to know more about the 7-colored heaven-devouring beast since the sword spirits paid so much attention to it. This was because he knew the sword spirits possessed a very great background. Ordinary things would never pique their interest. To the 7-colored heaven-devouring beast, the 7 lights are a type of bloodline. It's the indication of abilities and not a representation of strength. Only by fully evolving will it become a true divine beast. A few beasts with decent talent can reach 7 colors in 1,000 years, but their strength probably isn't even at the level of Saint Emperor in this world. Meanwhile, there are some 7-colored heaven-devouring beasts with only 1 or 2 colors that can reach the utmost peak through arduous cultivation. Their only weakness is that their natural abilities are nowhere near as powerful as true divine beasts, explained Ziying. Chen gained an understanding with that explanation. If the 7-colored heaven-devouring beast could evolve into a true divine beast with 7 colors, it would be like the white tiger, possessing strength that exceeded its cultivation level and various unbelievable abilities. However, if it wanted to truly become powerful, it still needed to cultivate continuously. The 7-colored heaven-devouring beast is evolved from insects. It is not a species by itself. When it is young, it will follow various species of insects through different forms, but as it rapidly evolves and becomes a true divine beast, its final form is all the same. Back in our world, there was a vast number of insect species. Many of the magical beasts in this world are even part of these insect species. Our world is vastly different from the world you used to live in, Master. The insect species in Master's previous world probably did not even amount to 1,000th of all the species in our world, said Ziying. A few king beasts will definitely appear in every species, and the 7-colored heaven-devouring beast is one of the kings of the insects, Qing Suo explained. Obviously, the soaring ants had their own territory. Now that Jian had left their land, the flood-like ants had all dispersed. Jian gazed at the fist-sized, 7-colored heaven-devouring beast from afar. A gleam of light flashed through his eyes. Ziying, Qing Suo, how likely am I to tame the beast? Jian asked. Ziying and Qing Suo did not reply immediately. They remained silent for a while before saying, this 7-colored heaven-devouring beast has already lived for a very long time. I can already sense pulses from a conscience. It already possesses intelligence. Coupled with the fact that it's no weaker than Master right now as well as its natural pridefulness, taming it is almost impossible. Jian secretly sighed. The 7-colored heaven-devouring beast was different from the white tiger. The white tiger began following him soon after it was born. They had gone through many hardships together, so a good relationship had been established long ago. It would indeed be very difficult if he wanted to get the divine beast to follow him as easily as the white tiger. It was practically impossible. But it's not completely impossible, Qing Suo suddenly added. After a moment of silence, she said, the resources here are far too lacking, so it can't evolve to 7 colors. We may be able to use this fact, but now is not the time. We need to wait until Master has the ability to completely suppress it, and only then will there be a sliver of success. The only weakness of 7-colored heaven-devouring beasts are their souls. If you get the heavenly enchantress who is good with soul attacks to come along as well, your chances will greatly increase, said Ziying. Jian Chen knew that it was not time for him to try to tame the 7-colored heaven-devouring beast. He traveled far away and detoured around the soaring ant's territory. Afterward, he found a safe place to release Zhou Chuyun and the others from the Saint artifact. Appearing again, all of their wounds had been completely healed. Jian Chen had already secretly ordered the artifact spirit long ago to heal their wounds, so all of them were brimming with vitality. Zhou Ling and the other Heaven Saint Masters were still rather shaken, having not returned to their senses from the fright before. Zhou Chuyun and Lu Jun both thanked Jian Chen. They knew that if it were not for Jian Chen's help, they would have been reduced to freezing corpses. Senior Yang Yutian, where was that place before? Why did I feel like it was another world? That world was actually filled with extremely pure radiant saint force that healed me in just a few seconds. It was miraculous, Zhou Lin asked Jian Chen as she hugged his arm. Her face was filled with curiosity. That was a treasure. Jian Chen gave a simple reply and did not go into detail. Afterward, he continued to follow Zhou Chuyun, who was searching for the divine water of the world. Everyone became much more cautious after the experience with the soaring ants. They remained alert at all times, unwilling to be careless. In the blink of an eye, Jian Chen's group had stayed in the depths of the divine realm for 7 days. They had come across various dangers during that time. Not only were there feral beasts, there were also forces of nature. Not only did the forces of nature include the corrosive rain and soul-injuring lightning, even huge whirlwinds would also form from time to time. Once sucked into the wind, everything, no matter how tough, would be ripped to pieces. However, what was puzzling was that the whirlwinds would only impact foreign objects and could not destroy anything from the divine realm. During those 7 days, Jian Chen did not find the divine water of the world, but he did obtain quite a few thunderstones. Jian Chen only kept the thunderstones of the 15th or 16th star, handing the rest to Zhou Chuyun and the others. They became so happy that they struggled to keep their mouths closed. There were extremely few people in the depths of the divine realm, rarely did anyone set foot there. Jian Chen's group had only run into less than 10 people while they had been there. During that time, Jian Chen had asked Zhou Chuyun and the others about the Spirit Sea, but he learned nothing at all. The Spirit Sea was where the divine water of the world appeared. Finding the Spirit Sea would equate to finding the origins of the divine water. Jian Chen's group had already approached the only tunnel into the depths. The adventurers in the surroundings gradually increased, ranging from heaven saint masters to saint rulers. There would even be 1 or 2 saint kings from time to time. However, almost all of them maintained a radius of 100 kilometers. They wanted to try their luck. Other than saint kings, very few people dared to venture any further. Sigh, I've once entered the depths of the divine realm many times despite the hardships in search of the divine water, but I've always returned empty-handed. I heard that signs of it have now appeared in the depths, so I wish I can find it and completely heal the injuries of my soul. A disheveled old man murmured to himself as he walked around nearby. Jian Chen's eyes narrowed when he saw the old man. He was a rather powerful saint king at the 5th heavenly layer, someone who had just reached the 16th star. Jian Chen followed Zhou Chuyun quickly as they traveled to the tunnel that connected the 2 regions. They came across more and more people and could even hear some of them discussing the matter about a supreme expert venturing into the mountains of the sleeping dragon a few days ago. I've found it, I've finally found it. Suddenly, Zhou Chuyun at the very front excitedly called out. He shot to a 100-meter wide hole in the ground nearby. The hole seemed to have been formed by the residue of a battle between experts, but the surrounding ground was extremely level, as if a battle had never occurred there. A huge tree was planted in the center of the hole. This was one of the signs I left behind, and I had even planted a tree native to the divine realm so it would be easier to recognize. In order to prevent people from destroying the signs I had left, I planted quite a few of them, and they all point to the location of the divine water. The other signs should be nearby. Let's look for them quickly. We still can't find the location with this sign alone. Zhou Chuyun explained before immediately heading off to search for the other signs. Very soon, Zhou Chuyun found the other signs and verified where the divine water of the world was. He immediately hurried off with Jian, Chen and the others. At the same time, Lan Mo had passed through the tunnel with the experts of the 100-footed clan. He had used a secret technique to confirm the location of the Blue Sky adventurers before pursuing. Right after the people of the 100-footed clan had left, the experts of the Huangdao clan appeared nearby. They had discovered the tracks of the 100-footed clan long ago, tailing them secretly by completely erasing their presences. Looks like we only need to follow the people from the 100-footed clan to find where the divine water is. This really does not take any effort at all. Everyone, hide well and don't get too close, sneered an old man. They continued to silently tail the people of the 100-footed clan from behind. Chapter 11:23. Brains over Brawn. Jian Chen followed Zhou Chuyun with the Blue Sky adventurers as they searched for the signs that had been left behind. Zhou Chuyun was very smart. He had left more than 20 signs that pointed to the location of the divine water, but all of the locations varied. It was impossible for other people to learn anything from them, leaving only Zhou Chuyun to read them. Jian Chen and the others followed the signs by changing directions from time to time. They killed the few feral beasts that had come to bother them, traveling close to 100 kilometers before stopping. They carefully hid before a large rock. 5 kilometers ahead, more than 10 feral beasts stood in a circle. They did not move at all, as if they were petrified. A brutal presence radiated from them, and many weaker beasts dared not to get close to them. All the beasts were like monsters. They ranged from 10 meters tall and 20 to 30 meters long, while the smallest ones were the size of tigers, only 2 meters long. Although their sizes varied dramatically, they all possessed extremely great strength. They were all at the 15th star, and one of them was even at the 16th star. An azure, walnut-sized liquid hovered 2 meters above the ground in the center of them. It had been locked there by a powerful energy. Fantastic. The divine water really is here, and it hasn't been devoured by those beasts. The heavens must be smiling on me. Zhou Chuyun became excited. The divine water is actually only the size of a walnut. That's already quite a lot. Almost all of the divine water that has appeared before is thumb-sized. Lu Jun sighed in surprise as his breathing became ragged. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, my God. There's actually 18 beasts. I remember there were only 13 when we came here before. There's 5 more now. Zhou Lin counted the beasts quietly from afar. Jian Chen stared fixedly at the unmoving beasts as his heart surged. This was because he could actually see some glimmers of intelligence in the eyes of the beasts, which really shocked him. All the beasts had actually gained weak intelligence. It was not much, but it was enough to flood Jian Chen with disbelief. These beasts were far weaker than the violet serpent dragon at the top of the mountains. The serpent dragon did not possess any intelligence while they did despite their strength. It was clearly illogical. These beasts seemed to be locked in a stalemate. They all want to devour the divine water, but they dare not to move recklessly, Jian Chen said with a soft voice. That's right. They've maintained this situation for quite some time already. They were already like this when I came here last time. I never thought the situation would remain the same other than the fact that 5 extra beasts came, Zhou Chuyun softly replied. Why do I feel that these feral beasts have intelligence? Are the rumors true? The beasts of the divine realm will gain a little bit of intelligence after consuming the divine water. Have these beasts all consumed some of the water in the past? Lu Jun wondered while full of doubt. That's just far too wasteful. Such precious water has actually been devoured by a bunch of beasts, a member of the Blue Sky Adventurers, added. Chen was already prepared to move. He drew the Emperor armament from his space ring and said to Zhou Chuyun, "I'll go get the divine water. You all back off a little. Esteemed warrior, you have to be careful. You will be fighting 18 powerful beasts that have gained some intelligence after all," Zhou Chuyun said in concern. Roar! Roar! Just as Chen wanted to move, two great roars suddenly rang in the distance. The sound was extremely loud, where sound waves rolled out thunderously. They caused the entire divine realm to tremble slightly. Heavy footsteps rang out and a huge, 100-meter-tall ape walked over carrying a 40-meter-long axe. With every step, the earth shook like there was an earthquake. A smaller, 2-meter-tall ape sat on its other shoulder. It was clearly its child, and behind the huge ape was a 20-meter-tall one. The two of them made their way to the divine water as one followed the other. Chen's expression immediately changed. The huge ape at the very front was actually at the great perfection of Saint King, while the one behind it was at the 9th heavenly layer. Such a powerful combination was virtually invincible in the divine realm. Chen suddenly glanced at the giant axe on the ape's shoulder, and he was shocked yet again. It was actually an emperor armament. A huge ape at great perfection of Saint King with intelligence and an emperor armament. This, Chen's mouth felt dry. The ape clearly was not something he could deal with. Even though he believed the ape could not use all the power of the emperor armament, it was already shocking enough. The 18 beasts around the water became restless. They could feel the strength of the ape and fear appeared in all their eyes. Some of them had even slowly backed off, wanting to give up on the water. Roar! The huge ape at the front strode toward the 18 beasts. It roared at the sky and firmly wielded the huge axe, chopping at the closest beast. The beast produced a furious roar. It opened its mouth and spat out a ball of extremely powerful energy. With a massive boom, the ball of energy crumpled before the axe. The axe then continued toward the beast without slowing, splitting its entire body and head in two. A 15th-star feral beast had just been killed off by the huge ape with a single strike and without even being able to cry out. The huge ape's eyes were dyed a brutal red. It already possessed a certain amount of intelligence, but it was still a bloodthirsty feral beast. It did not plan on letting the other 17 beasts go after killing one. It continued to swing its axe at the remaining beasts. The other beasts seemed to sense the ape's killing intent as well. They all growled furiously and several of them immediately lunged at the ape in unison. They all used their greatest abilities. The huge ape did not show any fear against the beasts and instead excitedly let out a roar. It handed its child to the ape behind it before rushing into the beasts with its huge axe. It was extremely courageous. The other ape was at the 9th heavenly layer of Saint King, but it did not help out. Instead, it backed off and watched from afar. Many of the beasts had now shifted their attention from the divine water of the world to the huge ape. One of them opened its mouth and lunged at the divine water, wanting to devour it during the messy situation. But, at this moment, a huge axe descended from the sky like a bolt of lightning. It beheaded the feral beast and blood sprayed into the air. The battle was extremely intense. The furious roars and deafening booms echoed very far away, alerting all the experts of the divine realm. Immediately, many of them hurried over from all directions. Of course, there were a few cowardly experts who instead fled in the opposite direction. The giant ape fought against more than 10 feral beasts all on its own with the emperor armament. Not only did it fight quickly and skillfully, it had gained the upper hand. It swung the emperor armament widely, becoming more and more drawn into the battle as it fought. The huge ape could not use the power hidden within the emperor armament, but even with that being the case, the huge ape was still able to display its terrifying might by using its supreme strength and the toughness of the emperor armament. To the ape, the emperor armament was like an indestructible metal pole. It could withstand its own power. Chen, Zhou Chuyun, and the others watched from afar. All of them were shocked, stunned by the supreme power of the giant ape. The giant apes clearly come for the divine water of the world. It probably wants to feed it to its child. It'll be troublesome now. Looks like we can only watch the water go to waste now. Zhou Chuyun's face was filled with pity. Why don't we retreat? Once the ape deals with all those beasts, it'll probably charge at us. We don't even have the ability to flee before this giant ape. Deep worry shrouded Lu Jun's face. Senior Yang Yutian, what are your plans? Zhou Chuyun glanced at Jian Chen. He clearly wanted to go with Jian Chen's decision. Jian Chen stared fixedly at the two apes. He was extremely stern and said with a deep voice, I have to obtain this divine water. Jian Chen had already made up his mind regarding the water. Although he could not deal with such a powerful ape, there was still Rui Jin and the other two in the Saint Artifact. However, he did not want to rely on them unless he was truly without any other choice. Senior, that ape's far too powerful, and there's another one with similar strength behind. Can you deal with the two all by yourself? Zhou Chuyun asked. Pondering a little, Jian Chen said, I'll come up with a plan to lead the two apes away. Once I lead them far away, immediately retrieve the water as fast as you can, and then leave. Jian Chen pulled out the Saint Artifact after discussing the plan with Zhou Chuyun and the others. He then hid in the artifact and burrowed underground to approach the battlefield. The battle lasted for a while, but in the end, all the beasts were killed by the giant ape. Blood dyed the ground red. The giant ape rested the Emperor armament on its shoulder as it crouched down, staring at the walnut-sized liquid below. It slowly extended a thick finger toward the divine water. The female ape behind it also stared unblinkingly at the water. Happiness crossed its face while the little ape on its shoulder was emotionless. It had still yet to develop intelligence. At this moment, a golden light appeared. Jian Chen appeared silently behind the female ape. He grabbed the child with lightning speed before kicking off the ape's shoulder and shooting off. He ran off into the distance without looking back as he left behind a chain of afterimages. He pushed the illusory flash to the utmost limit. At the same time, a golden streak of light shot out of the ground. It quickly caught up to Jian Chen and disappeared into his forehead. Roar! Roar! The two apes immediately became utterly enraged now that their child had been taken. They no longer bothered with the divine water, immediately pursuing Jian Chen. Chapter 1124, Who Dares Challenge Me? 1. Jian Chen ran off as fast as he could. Although the depths of the divine realm were littered with danger that could threaten 16th star experts, Jian Chen was without fear right now. He did not worry about any of the danger he would face at all. Jian Chen held the baby ape against his shoulder. It had only recently reached the 11th star, so it was not enough to threaten Jian Chen. Even with it putting up a desperate struggle, it was unable to break free from Jian Chen's vice grip. The two huge apes furiously ran behind Jian Chen. They angrily roared as their eyes glowed red. The gazes they used to look at Jian Chen were filled with rage, and with every step, a heavy thud would ring out. The earth violently shook. Even though they were at the 9th heavenly layer and great perfection of Saint King, they did not possess any grasp of the mysteries of the world and were unable to use spatial force. As a result, they were much slower than Jian Chen even though they were far more powerful than him, so they were unable to catch up. Jian Chen maintained a constant distance between him and the two apes, planning to draw them far away. Suddenly, a beast loudly roared out. A 20-meter-long, winged, scorpion-like feral beast shot toward Jian Chen. Its eyes were full and filled with a bloodthirsty light, clearly having not awakened with intelligence. The feral beast was already at the 15th star. Although it possessed a pair of wings, it could not fly, but it did move very fast, much faster than the two stronger apes. It was even vaguely faster than Jian Chen. With a flash, the beast's venomous stinger shot with lightning-like speed toward Jian Chen. It flickered with blue light. Jian Chen dodged the attack masterfully before grabbing the stinger with one hand and swinging as hard as he could. Immediately, the scorpion was flung toward the two apes. The scorpion's huge body smashed into the ground and created a crater. It immediately climbed back to its feet as it stared at Jian Chen with its bloodthirsty eyes. It continued to chase Jian Chen by flapping its wings. But, at this very moment, a huge axe fell from the sky. With a violent boom, it landed heavily on the scorpion's back, passing through to its chest. The scorpion was nailed down by the axe, which the giant ape then raised. It carried its axe on its shoulder with the scorpion pinned on it, chasing after Jian Chen with huge strides. It did not even look at the struggling scorpion on its axe. Jian Chen felt secretly shocked inside when he saw this. The ape was just far too brutal and far too powerful. A 15th star feral beast had been dealt with so easily. It did not know any Saint King abilities, but Jian Chen believed that the ape would be difficult to deal with even if a Saint King at great perfection were to fight it. Jian Chen fled as the two apes chased him, having run 1,000 kilometers. He came across a few adventurers from time to time, and they all became stunned from what they saw. There were also some predatorial feral beasts that had yet to awaken their intelligence who wanted to eat Jian Chen, but they were ripped to shreds by the angered apes without Jian Chen needing to do anything. After drawing the two apes away, Zhou Chuyun and the others did not leave their hiding places immediately. Instead, they observed carefully and secretly. Only after confirming that the situation was calm and that the two apes could not return in a short amount of time, Zhou Chuyun and Lu Jun carefully made their way past the beast corpses. They arrived before the walnut-sized droplet of divine water with faces filled with excitement and emotion. Those two terrifying beasts should be returning very soon. Zhou Chuyun, retrieve the divine water quickly. I'll go check over the corpses of the beasts to see if there's any thunderstones, Lu Jun said with a deep voice. Although the apes were now far away, they dared not to stay for too long. Zhou Chuyun nodded and immediately pulled out a jade bottle from his space ring. Lu Jun went to check through the corpses of the other beasts. Fucking hell, there's a powerful energy around the divine water protecting it. It must have been left by those beasts who were locked in a stalemate. I can't retrieve the water with this layer of energy, Zhou Chuyun suddenly cursed. His face became filled with worry and panic. What? How can that happen? Lu Jun's face also abruptly changed as he was checking the corpses. He arrived before the divine water in a flash to examine it carefully. With a great groan, he said, "This layer of energy is very powerful. It's been left behind by a 15th star feral beast to prevent the divine water from drifting away. We will need quite a lot of time to remove it. What do we do? We don't have much time, so we need to think of an idea quick." Zhou Chuyun became overwhelmed by anxiety. At this moment, a figure quickly shot toward where Zhou Chuyun was standing. He moved extremely quickly and kept his presence hidden without any part leaking out. He was on high alert. The figure first observed the situation carefully by hiding in the distance. Although he was surprised by the corpses of the powerful beasts littered on the ground, he could tell with a single glance that they had all died in a brutal fight with one another and were not killed by another person. At the same time, he saw that Zhou Chuyun and Lu Jun were only saint rulers, so he did not attach any importance to them. He immediately became fearless and swaggered over from the distance. He laughed aloud. "There's actually divine water here. Ha ha ha, this is fantastic. I've spent 3 whole years in the depths of the divine realm, but I've failed to find any. I came here out of curiosity after hearing the intense beast roars before, but I never thought I'd come across some of the water. The heavens are smiling upon me." The person was a skinny, middle-aged man. He possessed an ordinary appearance and his skin was deep blue. He was a member of the sea race. He seemed rather at ease, but caution filled him inside. He constantly glanced around to prevent other experts from suddenly attacking him in surprise. At the same time, a vast presence radiated from him, as a form of warning towards any people hidden around him. He could tell with a single glance that the beasts had died in a struggle with each other with his experience. It was impossible for other adventurers to cause similar wounds. "Shit, it's a 15th star expert," Zhou Chuyun growled. Both his face and Lu Jun's became extremely ugly. Chen was no longer present and it was impossible for them to fend off a 15th star expert just by themselves. The middle-aged man walked towards the two of them as the tremendous pressure pressed towards Zhou Chuyun and Lu Jun like a mountain. He sneered, "You luck adventurers, I never thought you'd get here before me. But it's extremely unfortunate that I also need this divine water, so if you don't want to die, leave it behind and piss off. Don't blame me for not giving you a chance to run later." Zhou Chuyun and Lu Jun both became rather pale. They were now stuck in a dilemma where they could do nothing. Esteemed warrior, this divine water already has an owner. Its owner is a 16th star expert, someone who can rival Hall elders. Are you certain you want to steal from him? Zhou Chuyun clasped his hands. Right now, he could only hope to deter the middle-aged man by mentioning Chen. The man's face froze by an undetectable amount when he heard that, but he recovered instantly. He stared at Zhou Chuyun sharply and jeered, "A supreme expert who can rival 16th star experts? Ha ha ha, do you think I'm that easy to trick? Cut the bullshit in front of me, or I'll finish you right here." Esteemed warrior, everything I've said is true. The beasts here were killed by 2 huge apes. That expert's left to draw the apes away, and he ordered us to retrieve the water for him before he had left. If you plan on taking the divine water of the world, please be prepared to deal with him, said Zhou Chuyun. The middle-aged man's face changed slightly. He asked, "What are the characteristics of the apes? Tell me." Zhou Chuyun immediately described everything he had seen. The middle-aged man immediately became uneasy when he heard all that, glancing past all the wounds on the feral beasts. "The expert took us directly through the mountains of the sleeping dragon. At the very top, he killed an extremely powerful violet serpent dragon," added Lu Jun. He mentioned what Chen had done in the past to scare off the man. The man's face changed once more. Recently, he had indeed heard the continuous roars of beasts from the mountains. There had been a terrifyingly powerful expert who crossed through there, so he basically believed everything Zhou Chuyun had said after connecting what the two of them had said. The light in the man's eyes flickered uneasily. After a while of hesitation, a powerful killing intent flashed through his eyes. He said severely, "So what if it's true? That supreme expert's not present. No matter how great that person's abilities are, he will not know that it was me if I killed the two of you and ran off with the water." The man's steps sped up. He was ready to kill. Zhou Chuyun and Lu Jun's faces changed drastically. Just as they wanted to run, figures flicked in the distance again. Over 10 people shot over with extremely great speed. All of them erased their presences and moved silently, unwilling to alert the beasts up ahead. The people clearly did not belong to a single group. They stood in different locations and were all on guard, filled with caution. There were actually 3 Saint Kings among them. The middle-aged man gave up on killing Zhou Chuyun and Lu Jun. He stared at the people behind with a sunken face. Their arrival had ruined what he wanted to do. Divine water, there's actually divine water of the world. There's actually divine water of the world here. Fantastic, I've finally found it. A few people cried out involuntarily when they saw the water. All of them rejoiced. With a gentle breeze, another 4 people appeared. They were 4 old men. Zhou Chuyun and Lu Jun shivered inside. They were familiar with the old man. They were the same 4 people who were in the cave before and had almost begun fighting with Chen. It's actually divine water of the world. What an unexpected harvest, one of the 4 old men said huskily. Chapter 11:25, Who Dares Challenge Me? 2. The battle between the huge ape and the other beasts was just far too intense. It could be described as earth-shaking and devastating, disturbing the entire central area of the divine realm. Thus, it attracted the attention of many experts. More and more people arrived. There were several 15th star experts, which was a horrible situation for Zhou Chuyun and Lu Jun. They were only at the 13th star, not even saint rulers at the 5th heavenly layer. They did not even have the right to speak to the 15th star experts. The two of you get away from the divine water immediately. A treasure like that isn't something you can possess. Otherwise, you'll be paying for the consequences, a person said to Zhou Chuyun and Lu Jun. He was a hunchbacked old man. He seemed ancient and his voice was husky, giving people a powerless feeling. However, he was one of the most powerful people present. Zhou Chuyun and Lu Jun looked at each other. They were troubled. They were now stuck between a rock and a hard place. The four old men who had met Chen in the cave all gathered their attention on Zhou Chuyun and Lu Jun. Light flickered in their eyes as they remained silent. They would peek around with the corner of their eyes from time to time, and they seemed to be filled with caution and fear. Warriors, the truth is that this portion of divine water already has an owner. Zhou Chuyun was without choice. All he could do was bring up Chen again in hopes of deterring these experts. He had nothing else he could do. Brats, cut the bullshit in front of me. The beasts here clearly killed each other over the divine water of the world, and the two of you just got lucky, having made it just in time. There's no supreme expert who can rival a hall elder here. That's all just a lie you two ignorant brats have spun. Don't you think so too, everyone? The old man sneered. Yeah, there's no supreme expert here at all. The beasts clearly killed each other if you look at the wounds. They weren't killed by some supreme expert. In my opinion, these mere 13th star brats have told a lie to us because they want to take the divine water for themselves. They just want us to back off, so they can benefit. The middle-aged man who had arrived first added. He was not bold enough to offend the expert Zhou Chuyun was talking about, but instead cleverly dismissed what Zhou Chuyun had said as a lie. For seniors, you've seen that supreme expert before, right? He was the one who killed his way through the mountains as he led us. He killed one of the most powerful existences on the peak and crossed through the mountains, Zhou Chuyun said to the four old men. He wanted to show that he was not lying by using the four old men as witnesses. The four old men said nothing. All they did was stand silently as they stared at the water. Gleams of light flickered through their eyes as they hesitated. Their silent behavior, where they did not openly admit anything, basically confirmed that Zhou Chuyun was telling the truth. As time went on, more and more experts gathered. Very soon, the number of experts reached into the 100, but most of them were only saint rulers. There were only a small number of saint kings. Ha ha ha, Zhou Chuyun, I never thought you'd be here as well. This must be the divine water you discovered last time. You were unwilling to work with me before, but haven't I still found you in the end? Laughter rang from the crowd. Lan Mo had arrived, and the group of experts from the 100-footed clan followed him from behind. Lan Mo had become very confident now that the people of the 100-footed clan were with him. Although there were quite a few 15th star experts present, he still had the power to speak. Young Master Lan Mo, it's actually you. I never thought you'd arrive so quickly. Zhou Chuyun's face changed. He glanced past the people by Lan Mo's side and actually discovered all of them to be at the 14th star. There were even two of them where he could not see their strength, which immediately made him heavy-hearted. The divine water. It really is the divine of the world. Lan Mo, you've done well this time. Once we return, our 100-footed clan will definitely treat you well. An old man from the 100-footed clan became extremely excited, as if the divine water was already his. The 100-footed clan? Is it that 100-footed clan of Diork City? Zhou Chuyun involuntarily asked. He knew the 100-footed clan's strength extremely well. The Lanshan clan possessed a 15th star ancestor, but they could only claim a third of Divine City. On the other hand, Diork City was a powerful and prosperous city, much greater than Divine City, yet the 100-footed clan possessed supreme power there. They were the greatest clan in the city, so it was possible to imagine just how powerful they were. The old man said to Zhou Chuyun, because you found the divine water of the world, my 100-footed clan will not make things hard for you, and will even reward you. Give the divine water to us immediately. The old man of the 100-footed clan was extremely arrogant. He paid no attention to the other Saint Kings present. As expected, many Saint King's expressions immediately changed after they heard what the old man had said. A sliver of coldness flashed through their eyes. Only the 4 old men who had seen Chen before remained standing there nonchalantly. They said nothing and acted as complete bystanders. Haven't you, the 100-footed clan, gone too far? You don't even view these 15th star experts with respect at all, a 14th star expert said coldly. He obviously had a powerful backing to be courageous enough to go against 15th star experts. With that, the old man of the 100-footed clan sneered. He pulled out a fist-sized quaking thunder from his space ring, and an extremely violent, vast energy immediately filled the surroundings. Everyone's expressions changed. A 16th star quaking thunder. A Saint King cried out involuntarily as he began to feel fear. Correct, this is a 16th star quaking thunder, and I have more than just one of them. If you all want to try out the quaking thunder's power, feel free to come at me, sneered the old man. The 16th star quaking thunder was enough to deter everyone in the divine realm because 16th star experts rarely appeared there. The divine water of the world already has an owner. He's a 16th star expert. Zhou Chuyun reluctantly explained, you must be talking about that young man in the tavern. He's a 15th star expert at most. Zhou Chuyun, you can stop trying to scare me, sneered Lan Mo. His eyes were filled with killing intent. The old man who held the quaking thunder looked at Zhou Chuyun. He coldly said, bring the divine water over immediately. Before 16th star quaking thunders, that 15th star expert you speak of is nothing. Just a single one is enough to heavily injure him. Many 15th star experts in the surroundings stopped talking. A 16th star quaking thunder was enough to overwhelm them with fear. No one wanted to test out its power. Zhou Chuyun and Lu Jun hesitated, but they did nothing even after quite a long time. The old man became displeased. He snorted, ingrates. Danner, go get the divine water. Yes, Grand Elder, replied a 14th star expert of the 100-footed clan. He immediately walked to the divine water. Extending a finger, a strand of energy shot out from the tip of his finger and ate away the layer of energy left behind by the beasts. Zhou Chuyun and Lu Jun watched helplessly. They could do nothing. All of the people from the 100-footed clan focused their attention on the divine water. They were at their wits' end since the water was just far too important for their clan. The middle-aged man who had approached the water was at the 9th heavenly layer of Saint Ruler. He was far more powerful than Zhou Chuyun and Lu Jun, so he removed the energy very soon. Afterward, he pulled out a jade bottle from his space ring to store the water in. At this moment, over 10 people shot over from afar. The leader shot a powerful sword chi at the Grand Elder of the 100-footed clan with a swing of his hand. It's the people of the Huangdao clan. The Grand Elder cried out. He immediately passed the quaking thunder to his left hand and a silver lance appeared in his right. With a streak of silver light, the lance destroyed the sword chi. The party from the Huangdao clan was no smaller than the 100-footed clan. They both possessed 2 15th star Saint Kings and a great battle erupted between them very soon. 2 Saint Rulers from the Huangdao clan quickly charged at the middle-aged man who was retrieving the water. One of them kept the man busy while the other one quickly pulled out a bottle to store the water away. The surrounding space suddenly froze at that moment. All the space within a radius of 10 meters from the water was frozen, and the 3 Saint Rulers were all immobilized. Even with their strength at the 9th heavenly layer, they could not break free. The skinny old man had suddenly rushed up to the divine water of the world and stored it in his own jade bottle with lightning-like speed. As the people of the 100-footed clan and Huangdao clan fought, the Saint Kings, who originally watched the scene unfold, finally obtained a chance. You're courting death for stealing an item of our 100-footed clan. The Grand Elder of the 100-footed clan fell into utter rage. At that moment, the Saint King of the Huangdao clan stopped fighting with him as well. They charged toward the skinny old man in unison. The quaking thunder in the Grand Elder's hand began to flicker. This was the sign that it was about to be used. Seeing the quaking thunder, the skinny old man's heart immediately skipped a beat. He tossed the jade bottle toward the Saint King from the Huangdao clan and said with a husky voice, "I don't want it anymore. You can have it." The Saint King caught the jade bottle, but before he could celebrate, the quaking thunder from the Grand Elder landed on him. You're tuning in to the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.